All right, we are live. It's Saturday night. Live stream, get it off your chest. The show where you can come on live stream and join the panel. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing really
good.
Couldn't be better, Tony.
I'm Tony Bruno. I'm your guys' host tonight. I've got an awesome panel as usual. We'll start with Gonzo. How can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find everything I do at Gonzo School on YouTube. If you want art stuff, you can check out midnight.author on Instagram. And pretty much between both of those things, that's where you'll find everything. So otherwise, gonzoschool.com, midnightauthor.com.
Next, Frank Pesci.
Hey, what's up, guys? Frank Pesci here. It's always an honor to be on the Tony Bruno Show and get it off your chest Saturday. So, yeah, man, just want to say what's up to everybody. You can find me on Instagram, Frank_Pesci_. Also on YouTube, Frank Pesci, just as it's spelled. And I hope you guys come check me out. Also, I got my website coming soon, frankpesci.com. Also, connectorscorner.com. So check us out there. We've got a lot of good things happening this year.
Awesome. Man, you're up.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Good Saturday night to you. It's good to be back with these fellas here. I always enjoy them. You can find me at Mantidote on Instagram, like you see on the screen, Mantidote like antidote. And you can find me on YouTube at Primal Man, Primal Man, and that's it, just Primal Man. And we're putting out a lot of cool videos right now, especially on Monday nights. I do a Monday night man hour. This Monday night, we're having Michael Bunker on the Primal Man show. So that's how you can find those things. We always have Gonzo. We have Tony sometimes. So cool stuff.
Awesome. All right. So how's everybody's week been? I know after the week before, I think this week has been a little, we'll say, less stressful. I think we put things in perspective right now into what's going on in our country's timeline. Again, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I think everybody in our country has been affected by I will call it a radical change. I don't know if you guys have seen, but they had said that the minimum wage is going up to $15 an hour. They have canceled the production of the pipeline, I guess, which is going to cost 1,000 jobs. I believe from what I understand and what I've researched on the minimum wage going to $15 an hour. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't think it's a good thing. I think it should be, this is my opinion, kind of relative to where you live and the cost of living. They say that from what I researched, millions of jobs are going to be lost because what companies are going to do are going to say they have 5 employees. Now they're going to cut down to 3 and work those 3 employees even harder because they have to pay them that wage. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hesitantly like get rid of the minimum wage type of guy. Like or maybe not get rid of it, but let's just keep it really low. Just because, yeah, just like you said, like it's one of those things where when you increase the minimum wage for a business, now they're going to have less resources to have the jobs in the first place. And for places like Walmart, for example, like most of their profit just goes to their employees. They don't actually keep very much profit from what I understand. So a lot of it just goes back to pay their employees. So when you steal from Walmart or, when anything affects that, you're going to have employees, taking the hit. They're the first people to take the hit for that.
Yeah. Chain reaction. It's a snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
I'll touch in on that a little bit. My profession revolves around fuel, gasoline. And obviously people drive a lot, so everyone's going to be affected. Gas prices, they're going up. I don't like to see it, but I knew this would happen. I'm pretty pissed off about it, but what can I do?
The gas here in Florida was about $2 a gallon. I don't know what it was where you guys were. Right now it's about, I want to say $2.35. So it's gone up 35 cents in a week.
It's going to go up about another $1.50 all the way until June.
Wow. That's crazy.
Guaranteed.
I think the reason that minimum wage is going up is because they're anticipating inflation. And as you watch commodity prices rise, gas, food, this kinds of stuff, then you'll know that inflation is actually here. So get ready to watch those things. Watch for prices to increase. And we're going to see what happens because you can't just print money into an oblivion without a consequence.
And inflation, Frank, if I'm right, I mean, you're more the financial expert. Let me welcome Martin. Martin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, Tony. Gentlemen, good evening, guys.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here, gentlemen.
I don't know if you caught the beginning, but we're talking about the $15 an hour minimum wage hike, I guess is what they're doing in the U.S. now, or it's going to be soon. So, and how that's going to affect. And inflation is just devaluing the dollar. Am I correct, Frank, in that?
Well, the definition of inflation is that the cost of goods and services go up, and therefore the purchasing power of the dollar goes down, and then you need more dollars to buy more product. So it's an increase in the price of goods and services. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. There's no question. Just get ready for it. You know, you can make money in an inflationary environment. Just make sure that you're in appreciating asset classes. But just keep an eye on gas prices and things like that, food prices. You'll see it there. But I really think they're raising the minimum wage. First of all, it looks good, right, politically. And people don't really generally understand economics or really care for it. They just care about their own economics. But we'll see. We'll see what will happen this year. Either way, you know, my plan is to continue to do well and, help the people around me do well, no matter who's in charge, no matter what the administration is, because we never really had a voice anyway. So let us keep that in mind. Don't get down and out about what's going on. Just keep moving forward and do the best you can with what you have where you're at.
Martin, what about in Canada? What kind of issues are you having after this U.S. election? I'm really curious. Anything noticeable?
Notably, nothing notable right after the election, Tony. But it would be the same narrative. They're printing money out of just printing. Our prime minister is looking like a high roller on someone else's credit card, and that's more or less the future of the children. So as they're printing the money into oblivion, it's just devaluating the currency, and things are getting incrementally more expensive. Like I just had to fuel up my truck, and up here, I don't know what the conversion is into the gallons. We sell it by the liter here, and it's about up 10% in the last month. Just the price of fuel, to put fuel into the truck. So it wouldn't be so right after the election, but there is that notable cost, just like ground meat, like ground beef. It's selling for what steak used to sell for at that price. So it is notable. So instead of buying steak, the people are eating ground chuck. So I don't know if that answers the question, Tony. Answers the question, but that's what I'm seeing.
Good. You know what's funny is yesterday I got T-bones at Winn-Dixie, man, for $3.99 a pound, and ground beef was almost twice as expensive. So I'm like, I think I'll eat the T-bones, not a problem, So it's kind of weird. I didn't.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
See that. Yeah, I mean for $3.99 a pound, but I did notice, gas, like we were saying earlier, went from about $2 to about $2.35. I didn't see what it is today, but it's crept up in the past week. So I think everything kind of affects everything. I get where that $15.
I also
sounds great, but I'm not an economist or anything like that. But I know when you raise that price, you're just going. Companies are going to lose people, is what it is. They're going to cut the employees. They're going to pay the same wages, but they're going to cut the employees. That's what's going to happen. So it's less service, more hard work, which is not. I have no issue with that. But what happens is, I think these bigger companies are going to be pushing less employees now to do the same amount of work.
Yes. I would agree with that.
Absolutely,
very much so.
Tony.
And
You know, Anthony made a comment here too. Sorry, Martin. Go. I just wanted to speak on Anthony Velasquez's comment real quick. Minimum wage will probably reduce opportunities for those just starting out. Definitely, right? In the standard context, people are not going to hire employees anymore. They're going to find ways to outsource that work to contractors. I ran a business in New York for a long time, and it became very prohibitive for us to continue to hire employees because with the Family Leave Act and the increase in taxes, we essentially were paying 30 cents on the dollar every hour to keep an employee rather than sub it out to an independent contractor. So companies will always find a way to make it work. And it's going to be the employee or somebody who's a W-2 earner, somebody who's looking for benefits, somebody who doesn't want to, file their own taxes, in a way that a contractor does, that is going to suffer. Also, this is going to push companies to invest in artificial intelligence and just continue to replace workers with machines. So nothing is done without an agenda. And I just wanted to just chime in with that real quick, Martin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, sir.
Frank, you took the words out of my mouth, so no apology needed. Up here in Canada, what we're seeing is that the on-put with technology, like automated self-checkouts, just at the supermarket, it is more common than uncommon for me to go to the supermarket, at least up in here, to check myself out. So gone are the cashiers and the baggie, which were, they were starter jobs. If you wanted to work and you wanted to find work, it was a starter job. Now, for me, when I go to the supermarket, I'm bringing my own food and I'm bagging my own bags, where this is now expected, and I believe is due to the incremental increase in the minimum wage. There's no discussion up here of increasing the first portion of your income that's taxable, like tax-free. They don't talk about doing that, where the first, let's say, call it, I believe it's the first 6,000 up here is tax-free. We should double that to the first 12,000 instead of increasing the minimum wage. The take home for the employee would be the same. However, the government wants their payola and they want to look good. So it's going automated.
Yeah, Drew has a good comment here. As soon as it pops up in StreamYard, I want to put it up here. I can see it in the live chat. But what he says is, did COVID also push the acceptance of self-checkout? And I don't know about that here. I think it's been being pushed for probably the past 2 or 3 years. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but I don't think that really is an issue here. I mean, I like self-checkout unless you got to weigh like bananas or some stupid crap like that. Then it becomes a pain. You got to call the girl because you just don't know how to do it. So,
I don't like self-checkout. I avoid it at all costs.
Do you?
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah. But he's right. It is a pandemic. You know what I mean? Is COVID real? Yeah, it is, and it affects people, and we're not unsympathetic to that. But believe me, man, they don't let any opportunity go to waste. They use this to cut workers' hours. They've used this to push forth new systems. I have friends who are in New York, successful, awesome entrepreneurs that have built amazing businesses with integrity and with strength, and have scaled businesses in record time. And I talk to them now, and they tell me, Frank, nobody has a full-time job here anymore. They say to live in New York, you have to have 3 part-time jobs just to get by because everything is closed. Everybody I talk to, including my family, 2 work and home. That's it. Nothing in between. A little curbside pickup here and there, but everything has changed. And it was all done by executive fiat in these democratic-controlled territories. They certainly did not waste this opportunity to demonstrate that they have ultimate power over a willing and, how do you say, I guess, compliant or complacent population.
Yeah, I think that's both. Yeah, compliance and complacent. I mean, that's the truth. I still see it here. It's just amazing to me how people I think the word is fold so quickly, but I get, people say, they've said to me, oh, you're a COVID denier. No, I'm not a denier. It's just not as bad as people say it is. That's the bottom line. You know, I mean, you know, people can get upset at me. I really don't care.
Sure.
You know, when this started, we all thought, like, you know, again, people were going to be dropping in the streets. That's what we thought. You know, I figured by the time, you know, August, September hit, there was going to be tractor trailers with bodies stacked. That was going to be the norm. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
That was the narrative. That's what they told us was going to happen, and we believed it.
Yep. And that's
right. Right. They use imagery and media to push forth that narrative.
Major fear porn is what that is. So let's welcome Paul Galvin.
How's it going?
Good, man.
Hello, Paul.
Brother, anything to get off your chest tonight, because that's why we're here.
I think it's really, the whole minimum wage thing is really interesting because I remember watching a documentary, or not a documentary, a news.
Oh, you know what? Hit the camera button. I just went black. Sorry.
I remember watching a news, a news program, and it was saying, it was interviewing this one Latina lady.
Can anybody hear Paul, or is it just me lagging?
Can you guys hear me?
I think it's just you, Frank. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead, Paul.
All right. I remember she was saying that she wanted the minimum wage. She worked at McDonald's, and she was saying she needed the minimum wage to go up because it's not enough money for her to take care of her children. And, you know, the thing about that is McDonald's, if you are a mother of 2 children, she was a mother of 2 children, you're not supposed to be working at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And those jobs are supposed to be reserved for kids like me. When I was in high school, I would have loved the job at McDonald's, but a lot of adults had all those jobs, so I couldn't work because a lot of adults were working at those jobs already. And so that's kind of what this whole people aren't talking about the right thing. Why are there adults? Why are there mothers of 2 children needing to work at McDonald's? What's going on there? Why is that their job? That should be reserved for kids in high school. But we have a society right now where adults are taking those jobs, which is not how it's supposed to be. So I think there's a deeper problem here. And instead of actually trying to find out what that is and fixing it, people are putting up these things of, oh, we need to raise the minimum wage, because they don't understand that that's probably actually, no, it is going to do more harm than good for sure. And I graduated from high school and I started making $18 an hour. And I don't have any skills. I had like a C average. Like, I didn't get that job because of my grades from high school. I'm pretty sure you could find a job that's actually decent enough if you try hard enough. But for some people, they think that with their job that a little kid is supposed to have, that the solution to that is to raise the wage for that. And I think that's completely wrong. There's a bigger issue going on. No one wants to talk about it. So,
yeah. You know, what's funny is when you had said that, what it did, it rang a bell in my mind, because I remember when I grew up, I don't know, I don't think, man, because I'm a little older here, but I used to deliver newspapers. I know the newspaper is pretty much gone. Okay. And that was a big deal to have anywhere from 50 to 100 papers on your route. You would get up in the morning at 4 or 5 o'clock. Your papers would be there. It didn't matter if it was snowing. I would pull it in one of those, like a toboggan, one of those red things. You know what I mean? Pull it, strap it, and, you know. But what I noticed is, as I got older, that changed too, to where it was no longer kids, and you used to do what's called collecting. You would do that usually, I think it was, if I remember correctly, we'd collect, I think it was once a month. And you would collect your pay from the people that you delivered the paper from, and then you give it to the newspapers. But what I noticed over the years is that that job went to, again, there's newspapers really, obviously, I think people still get them. I think some people like reading the paper. But what's happened, I saw that job go to adults in cars. Mm-hmm. So they would have their cars and they would deliver the papers. And it was actually, I mean, it wasn't a lot of money back then, but for a kid that's 14 years old, 15 years old, it was a great little side hustle for me. I loved it, you know. But I think that's kind of what Paul was talking about. When I grew up, any of those McDonald's, places like that, even like the gas stations, it was all young kids doing those part-time jobs. Every single one. I had friends that worked in McDonald's, gas stations, all those little kiosk kind of thing, whether it be at the mall. But now you see the opposite. You see adults in those positions. So,
you know what's interesting too? It's like, it's the mindset of like, let me just take. Don't worry about what's, you know, my kid's future or the future, or what about how is this going to affect other things down the road? It's like, yeah, raise them. I need to make more money. But what are the consequences of that down the road? They don't care about that. That's an issue with me too.
Even so.
well, one of the things is we have, you know, and I don't want to get on single mothers, but we have an abundance of single mothers, of women that didn't stick with their husbands.
We have a single mother problem. It's a problem.
And the issue with that is it floods the market with women just trying to make ends meet. And I see it all the time. So, Martin?
I got a remark on this one. So, unfortunately, I find myself in a situation which I never expected to see. I'm separated, and it doesn't look like this. It's going to end in a healing process. So, I find myself for the first time in my life on these what do you call them? These online dating sites, and that's what I'm just seeing. There's an abundance of single mothers. And unfortunately, the system doesn't reward good behavior, and it really finances the female for breaking her vows. And then when you find yourself on the marketplace, if you want to use that language, I'm 43. Anything north of 30, they're single mothers, and it's just not pretty. It's not good for them. It's not good for the kids. It's not good for the nation. And then a lot of these mothers are going cap in hand to the government for more regulations to boost their income, and that's not the process. It shouldn't be that way.
For me growing up,
it's really ugly out there.
Yeah, for me growing up, Martin, Gonzo, everybody here, for me growing up, a single mother was something, I don't want to say to be ashamed of, but it wasn't something that was glorified. Now, you can go on dating sites, you see it on the news. Oh, she's a single mother. And they headline that. Single mother. Like it's a badge of honor.
A badge of honor. Yeah. Yeah. And then you ever notice, I want to interrupt you really quick. And their kids grow up, especially their sons, when they start to reach adult age. Oh, my mom's a queen. She did all this hard stuff, and it's like, no, your mom could have made better choices. They glorify, their kids grow up glorifying the single motherhood. And what do you think that's going to create? More of the same. It's like single motherhood is not a badge of honor. And I agree 100%, like you said, Tony. They wear it like a badge of honor. So, and like you were saying.
100%. I see it as well, man. And if you look at the statistics of what all these high school shooters have in common, they're all raised without a father. And then if you go to prison, I think it's 9 out of 10 of every caged man in a cell, he didn't have a father. So that's really what single mothers produce. They don't put down the order. They don't put down the cause and effect. They don't. I don't think they have it in them because they want to nurture at the same time, and they're not strong enough to really intimidate a young 12-year-old with sometimes you need a biff to the back of the head. And you're better to get it at 12 than find yourself with real consequences at 20 and find yourself locked up in jail. Now, in my field as a first responder, we're level 1 paramedics. We respond to the jail just around the corner where they have to transport people. And every time I run calls there, it's not pretty to see a man broke down in jail with cerebral spinal fluid coming out of his ears, and we're level 1 paramedics. And I look at these men, And what touches my heart and soul, if these men had a strong leader to form them and to guide them and to mentor them to the appropriate direction, how empty would these cages be? And that's what always strikes my heart when I run these calls. You know, like it's we need healthy masculinity, and instead of elevating these single mothers into hero status, we got to elevate the family, elevate the man and the woman together, and support them.
Yeah.
You know, you all are all familiar with Jesse, obviously, and Jesse says one thing which really made a lot of sense to me is that to a kid that's raised by a single mom, what he has to understand, and it took me a while to understand what he said. And what he said is that to the kid that the father had left the family, he didn't leave you. The mother pushed him away. He didn't leave. He couldn't handle your mother.
He didn't leave you. He left your mama.
Yeah. Again, not all, but most. But that's a reality. That's a hard reality that people have to face. You know, if you're a kid out there and you've been raised by a single mom, understand, if you're watching this, that he didn't leave you. He left your mom. I mean, he couldn't handle her. And that's the cold, hard truth, whatever you want to call it. But that's the truth.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll ask him, he'll say,
listen, it's
he'll say, were you raised, did you have a father? No, I had a mother. He says, my father was a deadbeat. He wasn't no good. And Jesse would say, well, how do you know that? You know, what makes you think, well, you know, did your mom tell you that? Yeah. Oh, well, because now she gave you her identity. You're just mocking what she said. Your dad's, go talk to your dad. When's the last time you talked to him? How do you know he's a deadbeat kind of thing? You know, so like you're saying, Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, man. No, that makes a lot of sense, brother. You know, it's hard enough to raise children in a two-parent household. And, you know, obviously our society has a lot of issues with the family. And, you know, that too is by design, right? If you can break down the family, then you can conquer the country. But, you know, one of the major things, you know, I'm here with my children, and me and my wife raise our children together. And one of the major challenges for us is that we're very busy. So a lot of times, and I'll be honest, a lot of times we miss some things in parenting where I know that our children need extra attention. And, you know, we do what we can, you know, to make up for it and make sure that love abounds in our family and that we're there so that, you know, we can parent them. But, man, between the cell phones, between our business projects, just between, you know, life in general, there's just not enough time in the day. So I can't even imagine what it's like to be a single parent and raise kids. Or is probably better said, I can't imagine what it's like to be a kid today that's raised by a single parent, because I know just how hard it is, even having two parents in the household. So I just wanted to share that, because I do find it hard at times, man, to put down my work, put down the things that I'm doing, and give dedicated focus to my children. You know, one of the times that I really take advantage of it is when I put them to bed. You know, and a couple of my kids are now teenagers, so, you know, that's less. I have less of an impact, I could say, maybe in that area than I used to. But my younger son is 8, and when I put him to bed, it's like, man, it's the greatest part of my day. That's when we get to talk, we get to reflect, we get to dream, we get to pray, we get to call forth things into the future, we get to bond. You know, we do that throughout the day, of course, but I think people today are more busy. I think it was by design after World War II that men had to go to war, women went into the workforce, and men came back. They didn't have those same jobs that they had before, and women occupied those roles in the workforce. And I think that was by design, again, to you know, to take out the family, because, you know, the most successful families usually have, you know, a mother in the household full time, you know, if that's possible. It happens sometimes, but it used to happen all the time. And I think in that role, that's the best way to have a functioning society. So, you know, any chance we get, man, to sow into young people as men, you know, do it. You know, you might be sowing into the teenager down the street or to the young man that has no father. Take that opportunity to do that, because you don't know what kind of impact you're going to have. And I know that all you guys on this panel could think about, maybe some men that, were not your father, but that you admired and looked up to. And you could probably sit down with them right now and you could say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I remember when you did this and it had a profound impact on me. So don't take it for granted, man. Everybody's watching you, especially the younger generation, because you're worth looking at. You're worth watching. So just, I wanted to share those 2 cents, man.
And that's, Frank, I love that, because there could still be a lot of kids out there, younger kids, that will look up to men like us because their father isn't taking the proper role in their family. Again, doing what I do as a contractor, remodeling contractor, I really enjoy it when I walk in and the man, like, I don't want to say takes control, but gives me the outline of the project. And then I do have the ones where there's like, whatever she wants, just do what she wants. I'll pay for it, that kind of thing. And not all, but a lot, it can be confusing. It can be confusing because I'm bouncing. I'm almost like a mediator, like a divorce lawyer, trying to figure out the project.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. And then you're just like pulling your hair out.
Well, women make about 80% of the consumer decisions in our society today. So, a lot of times as a business professional, you're more than often going to have to deal with a woman. So, having good communication skills are important if you plan to be an entrepreneur this day and age. I am the guy that talks to the contractor. I am the guy that makes all those decisions. I don't rely on my wife to do that. She's busy enough being a wife, being a mother, and being the operator of one of our businesses. So, she's not made to handle that type of stress in the same way that I can. I believe that, or at least that's the framework of our marriage. And we're successful in that regard. But I think that a lot of men, choose to either hand off responsibilities in that regard because they don't feel competent in that role, or they don't want to hear it later because they don't have, that level of respect in their marriage where they haven't developed, proper communication. Now, I can tell you, in my marriage early on, we had our struggles, man. And it was a lot of battling. It was a lot of praying. It was a lot of counseling with older people who were successful in marriage to help us learn how to be a married couple and to be successful together. And, I don't take that for granted. We put a lot of work into that. And I love my wife very much. And I know that she loves me very much. But, man, that was an investment, bro. There was a lot of pain that went through that process. So in that process, we both learned how to fulfill our roles dutifully and to do it well. And, I'm proud to say, man, I'm married 15 years. I love my wife very much and very much still attracted to each other. We have a great life, and hopefully we have many, many more years to come. And we'll do it together. That's the plan, at least.
My brother talks about like raising kids, Frank, and you had kids what's your oldest, Frank?
14.
14. Okay, so you had
14.
You had kids basically in your early 20s. And so my brother
21, yeah, man. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, like my dad, and so my brother always says, if anybody doesn't know my brother George Bruno, that our dad was winging it. He was never a father before. So when you become a father, you are winging it. I'm sure, Martin, you can attest to that. No matter, I think again, I'm not a father, so, but I do see this, that no matter, it's like you can watch somebody bowling and say, hey, I'm going to roll a strike, until you pick up that ball and roll it down the alley. Well, everything's easier said than done. So I'm sure it's a learning curve as a father. Comment on that?
I could not.
You know what, Tony? I forget that you're not a father. Just really quick, Martin, I just want to say a compliment to Tony. I forget that you're not a father, but you're a father to a lot of men. You do a lot of good for a lot of people, man. I just want to commend you on that. Although you may not have biological children, man, you are a father to a lot of men. So, I just want you to know that I see that. And I know a lot of other people do too.
I appreciate that, because I look at, like, you guys remember Chad and Lloyd and Josh and those guys. And to be honest, I consider those guys like like my sons. Do you know what I mean? I have that much passion for those guys, and I love seeing them in such a good place. Even somebody like Paul here on the stream tonight, 19 years old, Gonzo, even, these guys are like, these are guys that if I was raising a son, I would be super proud to be their dad.
100%. Yeah. I'm encouraged when I see Gonzo and Paul. That, like I always say, they're miles ahead of the game with guys their age.
Big time.
Yeah.
I talk to like younger guys that have no intellect, nothing. They're blank. They're shocked at 19 years old.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to do real quick, I want to get to Martin on this because I know he's got something to say. But I've got a lot of new people in here. We got Marcelo. I want to welcome you here, brother. We've got Lone Wolf Nomad, of course, Anthony Velasquez, John Boston, quite a few people in here. A few people, Drew Baumhauer, of course. But I want to welcome the new guys that I haven't really seen before. If I did see you before, again, anybody wants to jump on the live stream, there is a link in there. So if you go back, I'll pop it in right now. But you all are welcome to join the live panel. And this is Saturday night live stream. Get it off your chest. And that's what we're doing here. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. There it is. You click on the link, follow the directions. You can use an avatar if you'd like. If you don't want to show your face, that's fine. But I think everybody's word is valuable. But let's go right back to Martin on fatherhood.
I too, Frank, I was a couple years older than you. I'm 43 now, and it's hard to believe my eldest one's turning 20, my little one's turning 18, and my youngest one's turning 16. And found myself expecting my third kid at 27, unmentored. My father never had a father. His father died of a heart attack. So to actually be a father, it requires a lot of wisdom and a lot of strategy and a lot of leadership and a lot of just planning and foresight. And if you're unyoked with your spouse, it's going to be a tug of war instead of two going to the same direction. And what it ultimately comes down to is leadership. And for some reason, the father figure is being ridiculed in society as a whole. So when you start being a strong leader doesn't choose what is, let's say, popular. If you're making dinner for a bunch of children, you're not going to give them Doritos and cotton candies and a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola. You're going to put down some chicken and rice and some vegetables on the table. You're not going to give them what they want, but you're going to give them what they need. So we need healthy masculine mentors to make men, to build strong families. And in the absence of that, you're just winging life. And you're doing the best you can, and you're going to make mistakes. We're human. No one's perfect. But in the absence of having healthy leadership, you're going to fall short. And ultimately, it comes down to authority. In our flesh, we have no authority. We need to look above for a healthy code for us to align our life to. And if you're doing it in your flesh and if you're doing it for yourself, you're going to make mistakes. So that's all I have to say with the father. And it does align with strong marriage and strong families.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got a few people in the panel here, which is Gonzo is, just so you guys know, he's newly married recently. So we congratulate him on that. And I know eventually he's going to want some kids. I know Man is looking forward to having some kids. I'm sure that Paul Galvin wants some kids. And believe it or not, it's not off the table for me yet, guys. So
it's definitely not, Tony.
But
you're gonna live till 100, right? Like your brother?
Yeah, I mean, at the rate I'm going right now, I better live till 100. So, but I also want to say real quick hi to Lone Wolf Nomad. Hello from Central Florida. Well, that's where I am. I'm in the Melbourne Beach area, buddy. So yeah, I'm actually thinking about doing kind of a meetup here sometime, maybe in the next couple months. So for guys that live in Central Florida area. So I'm on the East Coast of Central Florida. So I did want to welcome him. But yeah, so either Gonzo or Man or Paul, tell me about your guys' thoughts on having kids.
It looks like there's a new member of the panel right there with Frank.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Frank, you're muted. Have him say hi.
I hope you guys don't mind. This is my right-hand man, and he heard Martin talking about rice and vegetables, and he digs that. So he wanted to run into the frame, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, little buddy.
He's welcome too.
Say hello, man. Wave your.
He's in good company.
Say hello. Hurry up, hurry up. They got to talk.
Hi. How you doing, Rod? What's your name?
He's going to be a future all-star, man. He's already trying to shoot his own videos. He borrows my cell phone. He sets up, his little stuff. He was watching his brothers play football today with the tripod and the cell phone. Whatever daddy does, he wants to do. But he does it better than me, actually, because at his age, his imagination could think of things that are just – I have already declared those things to be impossible. He doesn't know what impossible means. All he sees is possible. So, honestly, I'm telling you right now, when I put this guy to bed, if I need inspiration for my day, just listen to him talk for about 2 minutes, and that changes my whole outlook. So, man, for Paul and Gonzo and Mantadote, man, and even Tony, kids are a gift. They're a gift from God, and use your time with them wisely, because I can tell you, I got teenagers, man. They grow up fast, bro. Grow up fast. So this guy fills my heart with joy, man, and I'm thankful for him.
This is a comment from a buddy of mine. This is a personal friend of mine, Mark. So it's a great listening to you, bro. Heading out hunting. Call me when the show is over if you want to join. Glad having you here, Mark. Appreciate you, brother. So,
welcome to the jungle.
Fun and game.
I had a comment about what Martin said earlier about being a first responder, and just seeing those people who are in prison, and a common thing for boys is, we need to have a father figure in our lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a good father figure, at least speaking strictly to what we want. We just need a man that we look up to. And what happens often is these men who are born or only being raised by a mom, they then go to the streets and they find their father figure in a gang, and who raises them is a gang member instead. And, they respect that person because of just the natural necessity to need a father figure in their life. And often that is one of the biggest phenomenons with the Black community in America, because so many of them are born without fathers. They're getting arrested because they're a lot of them are stuck in this vicious loop of, a kid is born, they only have a mother, so then they find their father figure from a gang member, they go to prison, or they then meet a lady, they have a baby, they go to prison, their son then finds another father figure who's in a gang, they have a baby with a lady, and then they go to prison. And then their baby finds a father figure in a gang, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's what the biggest problem has been in that community. And it's a terrible phenomenon. And I think one of the greatest things is lately there's been this promotion of actually having good values and discovering the proper way of actually living your life. And it starts very small. Just changing little things in your life will make a huge difference down the line, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Starting good right now will lead to greater things down the line. I mean, quite literally just, yeah, I mean, you guys get my point.
Yeah.
But also,
100%.
Paul, let me ask you a question. How is your relationship with your dad? And it seems like to me you're going to say it's good. I can tell just the way from your personality. I'm going to say that you respect your dad greatly and you guys get along. Is that correct? Now, there's always tension. But tension in a relationship between a father and son, I think, is normal. Tension in a relationship with a woman is normal, and it's actually really good. When you think the word tension always seems to have a negative connotation, but it's not a negative thing. I think tension actually builds character because it makes you make a choice on certain things.
Mm-hmm. I have, I thank God. I don't thank God enough for the father that I have, and he and I are like we're best friends, which I understand is probably not appropriate, but it didn't start that way. It started with me respecting him a lot, and as I grew more mature, he and I then started socializing. I mean, he and I go on hikes, and the entire hike we're just talking about my mom. It seems like, and it's like it's really special, the type of person he is. I never got the feeling like he was pressuring me into anything. He always supported everything I did, and he always allowed for me to fail as long as it meant. And then when I failed, he was always there to teach me how to not do it again and to make sure that I didn't repeat those things ever again. I think there's this phenomenon that happens, another phenomenon. Gay men, I am a strong believer that a big reason men turn out to be gay or transsexual or have problems with their sexuality is because they don't have a good relationship with their father. Their father forces them. So let's say, for example, you're a high school jock, you're athletic, and your father just pushes that. You have to go to practice. You have to do this. You have to do 40 push-ups every single morning. You have to eat this way. You have to be the best. You have to be the best. And that's a bad thing to do to your kid. I mean, encouraging your kid is one thing and wanting the best for him is one thing. But when you're trying to force him to be number one all the time, that actually messes with someone. It'll make them, if you talk to any gay man, he will tell you, yeah, my father wanted me to be number one in the wrestling team. And it's like, I reflect and I look back and I was like, my dad was never like that with me. He was always like, I do weird things, like things that he doesn't do. Like I build Star Wars helmets and all that stuff. And I'm into crafts and he's not into that at all. But there's never one moment where he was like, you got to stop doing that. You need to go outside and go work out or anything. He was never like that with me. And I think that's one of the greatest qualities about him is that he was always proud of the things that I did in life. And, I'm super thankful for having a father with as much wisdom as he did.
Well,
Thanks, man.
yeah, that's a great commentary. I love that because when you were talking about that, I remember I used to think my dad was tough, and he was. I mean, he's of course, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. It's a former Marine, or you're always still a Marine. I want to bring Frank back in here real quick. I don't know what happened to him, but so that I know that my dad used to do this thing with deck. He used to get up and
the camera.
It was time to chop wood, and it was feet on the floor at 6 a.m. And when I say feet on the floor, it didn't matter if you were still sleeping. My dad would come back up. Your feet were still on the floor, even though you were in bed. So, yeah, my dad was pretty hardcore. I mean, you can ask my brother, and just a little levity when you were talking about why a guy would be gay or whatever, it's kind of a funny thing. It's a little joke, but you build 100 bridges. People never call you a bridge builder. You suck one dick, and now you're a cocksucker.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. So,
I wanted to bring up a quick point about affection as men, affection towards your sons mainly. Because it's easy for dads. I think it's pretty easy for dads to have affection towards their baby girls. But a son, Martin, do you tell your sons you love them?
Absolutely. I have 2 daughters and a son, and I'll be full exposure. I'm going through a transition. My heart is completely disrupted. But with my son, I always tell him, you're my son, and I love you. You got what it takes. Like I want to fertilize that into his heart. I do feel like a failure, gentlemen, because when I went down to the altar, when I said till death do us part, I meant that. You know, and that's something that I'm just learning to accept. It's the cross I'm carrying. But for my son, I'm not shy to give him that that encouragement, that affection. As men in the West, we're not being affectionate with one another, right? Bear hugs, punches on the shoulder, just contact and touch. That's what men have done since the beginning of time. So for some reason, we've been told that touch is a sexual thing, where amongst me and my close buddies, we'll grab each other, we'll hug, I'll kiss my friends on the cheek, and that's what we need. So yeah, but just right now, he's in a teenage year, he's a little awkward, he's tall, he's lanky, poor lad's going through a little bit of acne, so he's just going through a transitional period where I'm getting one-word answers out of him. Man, that's what I'm going through.
Cool, good answer. I just bring that up because when Paul was talking about his dad, it made me reflect on my dad a lot. My dad was a solid, consistent man, not very affectionate. He went to work every day. He came home every day. No addictions, no type of like things outside of the home that would keep him from coming home every night. But it wasn't until I was probably in my early to mid 20s that I would always tell my mom on the phone that I love her. Always, love you, mom, love you, mom. Every time I'd hang up with her, every time I'd see her, I love you. Never with my dad. Something told me one day to tell my dad, love you, Dad, talk to you later. And it was like the first time we had this I love you, Dad, love you too kind of thing. My dad never really said I love you much as a kid. It was more about do what you got to do. You need to be responsible. You're going to pay for your actions. It was more like a responsible kind of teachings from my dad, a consistent teachings. My dad was very laid back, easy going, but not very affectionate. Me, I'm a really affectionate person when it comes to, like, if I had kids. So, but I made it a point to tell my dad I love you. And ever since then, me and my dad have built a more tighter, more appreciative relationship, if that makes any sense. Not that we had a bad relationship when I was younger, but he was more like, I need to go to work, take care of my kids, do what I got to do kind of thing. Whereas now it's like I'm really able to build a bond with my dad, a relationship with my dad now.
Amen. Man, I can relate to that one.
That's awesome, bro.
My father's in the dirt. He's on the other side of the bridge. And he passed before ever giving me the I love you. Yeah. And
I want to say his dad never said I love you either. So it's like it must be an old school thing,
It's a different season and a different time. And I feel personally that I may be cognizant and maybe a little bit too much, where I may water it down by saying it too much, but I'd rather err on the side that every time I see you, I love you. That may be the last time I see him and last time
I'm with you, Tom. I'm with you, Martin.
Sorry, Frank.
Yeah. Amen.
Let me jump in here real quick.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you, bro. So awesome.
Let me jump in.
I tell my kids I love them every chance I get.
Let me jump in real quick. I've left this guy up here, Kettlebell Bear. This is somebody that I haven't seen in a long time. So if he's in the live, if he's still here watching, Kettlebell Bear, it's awesome to see you. I have not heard from you in a while. It's great to see you, brother. You are welcome to join the live panel for sure. I left it up there because I was very surprised to see him, and I'm stoked to see him in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys about.
Welcome, Kettlebell Bear.
Yeah, yeah, awesome to have him in here, man. Awesome for him to be here. I haven't seen him around, so I was very stoked to have him here. But now with my dad, my mom and dad, of course, you know, my dad's 84. He'll be 85 in May, and we're in the Italian family. I mean, when I pick up my brother George from the airport, when we see each other, it is, and Frank and Martin, you guys, and it might be different with Spanish type. Or Martin, you're Spanish, correct?
Actually, I'm Northern Italian, but after World War II, the family went to South America.
Okay.
So the blood, the genetics are Italian.
Argentina, I'm sure.
Yeah, that name is Italian for sure.
Absolutely, Northern Piemonte.
Yeah, but
Dino.
Yeah, when I see my brothers, my brother, my mom, not my mom, but my dad, I pick up my brother from the airport. I get out. We give a hug, and you grab him by the back of the head and you kiss him on the cheek.
Amen.
And I know people, you know, look at you like, you know, I see other families don't interact like that, but that's how I grew up. That's normal for me. My dad, like when I leave now, if he's sitting in the chair, my dad's very active. I mean, he's doing great. You know, I kiss him on the top of the head and slap him in the head. You know, things like that. But me and my dad has always told his sons that he loves you. Always.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
You know, I will bring
Italian affection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to bring up an
masculine.
Yeah. See, I come from Italian heritage too, but it's more where we kiss the women kind of thing, because my dad's dad wasn't Italian, but his mom was straight off the boat Italian. I just wanted to bring up a point because my grandpa, my dad's dad, his dad was actually got run over, got hit by a train. His dad was running for political office in Kentucky. This was way back when. He got killed by a train when my grandpa was 13 or 14. So basically, my grandpa was raised by a single mother, and he had to help take care of his siblings and help raise his siblings. Well, he found my grandma. They got married. He carried that tradition on of like not being very affectionate, not saying "I love you, son" kind of thing. So my dad had built his relationship with us the way his dad had built his relationship with him. And so I wanted to bring up one more quick thing. I remember a story one time, me and my dad, I had chores to do every Saturday. I couldn't. Basketball was my thing as a kid, and I wanted to be outside all the time. And it was like I had to clean the garage, wash the car, mow the grass every Saturday. And so those are values he was trying to teach me. But I remember one time it used to really bug me when I wanted to go play. And I think I took off one day and I came back and he's just hanging out by himself. And he looks at me, he says, "Where you been?" I said, "I went down the street." He's like, "I'm really disappointed in you." My dad had never said that to me in my life. And it hurt me. It did hurt me as a kid. I might have been 13, 14. And so I walked away. I went around the house, took the corner, and not even 5 minutes later, he says, "Hey, come here." So I walked back over to him. He says, "I want to apologize for telling you that. I shouldn't have told you that." He's like, I'm just a little upset that you went down the street. We got so much work to do," kind of thing. My dad was always like, he never let the grass grow under his feet. There was always something to do with him. You know, there was always some work to be done. Now we would work hard. Lunchtime, he would take us down the street. We'd go get a really nice sandwich and come back, eat, and then go back to work. But those were things that are memories that are etched in my, my memory, my heart from my dad. So just wanted to share that.
Well, it's funny.
That's awesome, brother. That is awesome.
Memories with your dad. My dad is still
Tony,
still a hard ass on me, still till this day. And I remember it's probably been about 10, 11 years ago. My mom and dad came to one of my judo competitions. And I can tell you that I had it was a brutal like 5 matches. And I just finished, okay, and I actually was competing in what's called seniors. Seniors is from 17 to 30. So I'm competing in a much more hardcore bracket. Mm-hmm. Now, I won the match. It was brutal. It went the full 5 minutes. And I didn't know whose hand was going to be raised at the end, but I won. Now, the next one, I lost. Now, my dad says when I get off the mat, he's like, not like, good job, son. He's like, I saw it coming. Now, my dad was a judo guy.
Yeah.
So it was like, great job, son. You know, it wasn't that. It was like, you should have done this. And I'm like, look at my face. I'm like, come on.
That's my dad too. That was my dad.
But I was looking for that validation, and I didn't. I don't want to say I didn't deserve it, but that's my dad, and that's okay. So
Exactly.
I don't take it personally, because my dad always pushed us, always pushed us to the next level. And he still does push us. Like, you can do better. You can always do better. So that's my pop. And I don't know if that's an Italian thing or whatever, but that's something that my dad does.
It's a hard working thing, brother. It's a hard working thing for sure. Hey,
Yeah.
can I offer some feedback real quick on what Paul said?
Sure.
Because I think sometimes we find ourselves kind of in a single narrative. What I have noticed over recent years is I have noticed tremendous self-improvement in the Black community. I have seen fathers step up to the stage. I have seen promotion in the Black community for fathers and for family. And from my view, and from the people that I work with and the people that I associate with, man, I have seen dramatic improvement. And I have seen, white culture and white culture, kind of decline rather than improve. So I think it's important that we recognize that. Is there problems in the inner city? No doubt. It takes generations, obviously, to come out of situations. But I think that we need to recognize that there's been improvement. There's been dramatic improvement in the family structure in the Black community, and perhaps we could all take note of that. And make sure that we're making our families as strong as possible, not because anybody's against each other, but because iron sharpens iron. And we should take every opportunity to be encouraged to build family, because family is a gift from God, and family is what sustains society. Family is what creates productive generations of younger people to come along. So when we talk about people like Jesse Lee Peterson, when we talk about these people that we recognize as leaders and good productive people, let's take what we can from that, because there has been a lot of improvement. Let's not get stuck in a single narrative, because we only have our experience, right? But doesn't mean that our experience is totally objective either. So let us think about how we can broaden our horizons and be more productive as a society, because in reality, if you think about the narrative of the media, they would have us fight Black versus white. They would have us fight on the inner circle. Meanwhile, on the outer circle, the people that are causing us to fight with each other, they're lining their pockets with money. They're putting themselves in positions of power, and they're using the people who are, middle class or below to fight with each other so that they could take advantage of us all from the outside. So, let's recognize, the good things that are happening inside. Let's recognize how we can help each other. And, I just want to bring that point up, I grew up in the Bronx. I saw a lot of things, but I've also seen a lot of things change too. So, I'm proud of what I'm seeing across the board in terms of family values. There's a lot of work to be done, but we all have our faults, and I think it's important that we note that a lot of improvements have been made in the Black community, and they did it on their own. They did it through self-regulation. So. I just want to make sure that we make that point known, because we're a panel of all white guys here talking about this. Let's make sure that we put that on the table, because it is a reality. It is a fact. So I want to put that out there for you guys.
Great commentary.
I think it's a good point.
Yeah,
I think it's a very good point, and I think what the big takeaway, and adding to Frank's point, is divide and conquer. Every difference is amplified, and the common denominators are being dismissed. And don't want to change the subject, but the rulers and the rule, there's the two categories. If we're infighting amongst ourselves, we're easier to fleece, 100%. And I think to Frank's point, the strong family is the bedrock. It's the foundation of the society.
Yeah, those were encouraging words, Frank. I'm glad for you to tell that because, like you said, you've seen it, and that's encouraging.
Anthony Velasquez has a great question here. He asked it a while ago, but I do want to go around the panel. We'll start with me. We'll go clockwise to Gonzo, to Man, to Martin, to Paul, to Frank.
Can I go last, actually?
I will answer this question
really
simple. What would the panel suggest as a priority for men, young or old, for 2021? And my simple answer is reclaim your masculinity. Reclaim it. If just and it's not toxic. Masculinity is not toxic. Masculinity is normal. It's okay to be a man. It's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be masculine. It's okay to be feminine. It's not okay to be a fucking dick. It's not okay to be controlling and
manipulative.
Yeah, and I think as men, let's lead. Let's lead. There's nothing better to a woman than a man that leads. Yes. So men out there, young or old, lead. It's not controlling. So lead. That's very simple. Take the lead. That's all there is. Gonzo?
Yeah, with 2021, I think kind of branching off of that, I'd say it's the year to look in the mirror. It's the year to look in the mirror, and it's difficult to look in the mirror because everybody kind of, you're always in a situation where you have blind spots. Everybody's got their blinders on, and so it can be, it's not always obvious what's there, what's inside, sometimes you just don't know what's going on. And so that's I say is the goal this year, is to see what is going on inside, to look at things that, the things that bother you, things that have been bothering you for years and years and years. This is the year to address that. That's what I would say. Yeah.
I want to bounce off of what Gonzo said. Look at yourself, see the things you're dealing with: anxiety, depression. Let's go on and on and on. Those things are not normal. I do not care what society tells you. A man is not going to live an easy life. A man's life is work, but a man's life is peaceful, should be peaceful. And what I mean by that is basically anxiety, depression. Those things are not normal. Find out your where those things are coming from, and overcome those things. Overcome anger. Overcome your instinct to react. Be less reactive in 2021 as a man. Find a way to be more grounded. Like Gonzo said, look within. Turn to a father figure. Turn to a man that you find is someone that you find is a good man, and turn to him. And maybe you'll go from him to another man as you mature. But do those things. Take those first steps.
Awesome.
That's fabulous points, gentlemen.
Excellent.
I would be adding on to this. I think for certain, the advice I'd give any man in 2021, since we're coming into disruptive, anxious times, is to know thyself. And you know who you are, not in the good times, not when there's an abundance of luxury and comfort, but you really know who you are when it gets tough. And I would say this is a great time to go inward, to cut off luxury, cut off unnecessary things. These would also include unnecessary toxic influences, people, food, vices, women, and pursue discipline. Pursue a life of discipline, a life of struggle. Going to Tony's point, as men, we were not designed to be afraid quivering rabbits. We were made lions. We were made for. We were made to be tigers, and tigers don't belong in cages. They belong wild in the wilderness. So to detach from the luxury, detach from the pleasure, detach from the media and all unnecessary influences. This may be situational, but I always connect most with the Most High when I'm away from everything made by man and I'm in his creation with what he created. And in that silence, you'll learn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my advice to men for 2021.
That's awesome, dude. I love it, man. That's great. Let's go to Paul Galvin, man.
Can I be last, please?
Sure. We'll go to Frank.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Look, I would say this to a young man in 2021. First of all, find your purpose, right? Seek out your purpose. I found my purpose through prayer, through reflection, through through people in my network, through life experience, and taking the time to analyze it and think about it and to find out what it is that I'm good at and what it is that drives me. Once I did that, man, I was ready to work. And by being ready to work, I was ready to produce. A man finds pleasure, a man finds joy, a man finds fulfillment in his work. And not that the work is just to produce, monetary benefit, but that your work has an impact on the people whom, are in your circle of influence. So I would say get ready to work. Make sure that you're working towards your purpose. Make sure that you're forming the proper relationships. My prayer is always, hey, God, close the doors that you would have closed, open the doors that you would have open, remove from my life those whom you don't want to be here, and bring into my life those whom you want. And then I would say set your ear to hear, be aware of what those little push and pulls are going to be to help you discern those people and those doors as they were. I would also say preparedness should be a major tenet for 2021. Make sure that you have food. Make sure that you have water. Make sure that you have a means for sustainability. Make sure that you have, alternate contingency plans for communications. Make sure that you're diversifying your wealth and your resources. Look, this is not a time necessarily to sit back and wait. The time is for active engagement to the extent that every day that you wake up, you're doing something. Your feet are moving. You're walking towards a goal. You're making today better than tomorrow. Or excuse me, you're making tomorrow better than today. So I look, I'm very hopeful. I don't care who the president is. I don't care, what's on the news. Does it have an effect on us? Yeah, I guess, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be a free man, whether Biden's the president, whether Trump is the president, whatever they say on CNN, I don't care. I'm going to do what I got to do. I've put myself in a position where I live as a free man. And I don't know what the future holds for me or for my family or for the country, but I know that every day I'm going to wake up and I know that this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I take that to mean that the day is here to serve me. There are opportunities that are available for me in this day that I have to meet, that I will walk into. And I wake up with that attitude. Some days are better than others, of course. But I wake up with that attitude, and I usually 95% of the time find that today was better than yesterday. So I would just offer encouragement, strength. Do what you got to do this year. The time has long passed to sit back and do nothing. So I encourage you, young and old, 2021. This is what you make it, guys.
Dude, that was beautiful, man. That was great. I loved it. That dude, I want to end the show right now. That was powerful, bro.
Don't do that. Not on my account.
I love that. Mic drop. Boom. Yeah, that's
thanks, brother.
That's straight.
I mean it. It's sincere.
Powerful stuff right there. So anybody listening to that, understand that you've got a range of guys right here are giving you a bunch of information from different age groups, different areas in the country, out of the country. So we're going to go to Paul Galvin next. Paul, what would the panel suggest as a priority for men, young or old, for 2021? And Anthony Velasquez, I love this question. Love it. Great question. And if you want to come on the panel, hit that link, brother. Jump in.
It's kind of hard to put this into words, but speaking genuinely from the heart, I would say you need to discover God and fully embrace him and to follow him, because, you know, I love this content. I love your brother's content, Tony. I love your content. I love being on the panel, listening to everybody. But, you know, one of the things, and same with you, Gene, Mantidote, you know, we talk about how to improve our lives. And it seems like the one thing that we're always lacking is why we're even doing it in the first place. Why are we even trying to make a bunch of money? Why are we trying to get women? Why are we trying to do any of these things? And for me, and and every single person who's alive right now, you need to actually find the reason why you're here in the first place, to find your value in this life. So I'm a Roman Catholic. And I've always found my meaning through the church. I've always found it, not through the church, actually. Excuse me. I've always found it from God. And I've always realized that everything that I have in life is because he gave it to me. And I am extremely thankful for that. And I think one of the biggest things is we need to be more thankful and to surrender ourselves to him. Because I've thought about this before. I've struggled with the idea of love. Can I love anything on this earth if it's not God? It almost seems like I should only love God and that's it. The fact of the matter is we love because God loves. And we need to understand that we are on this earth, but we are not of this earth. We're going to be in a place someday. We're all going to die and we're all going to be with him for eternity. And that needs to be our ultimate goal in life. You know, the whole point of marriage in the first place is to raise a family and to bring more souls to heaven so that someday we will be with him for eternity. That is the whole point. You find a wife, you have kids with her. And the ultimate goal of marriage is to bring yourself and your family to heaven. And I don't think that message it's not being shared enough, I don't think.
No.
And I think we need to be serious. We need to be more serious about this. The only reason that society right now is the way it is because no one is taking it serious. See, I have a lot of things that I want to do, but I choose not to do it because it's going to take me out of the grace of God. And I want to be in the grace of God always. I want to go to confession. I want to receive the communion every single Sunday and to make sure that when my time comes that I will be with him. And that should be everyone's ultimate goal, everyone's ultimate purpose. 2021, 2020, 2019, any year, that should be your ultimate goal. If that's not something you're doing right now, you need to start doing it. Suffering is completely necessary. We're all going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
As a Roman Catholic, suffering is something that we embrace and we actually love. We don't enjoy it, but we need suffering in our lives, and it is completely necessary to suffer. The reason I wanted to go last is because I wanted to personally apologize to Anthony. Things got a little heated one time when he was on the panel, when we were both on the panel, because I said that the stuff of the Bible isn't supposed to be taken literal. And Anthony got very upset, rightfully so, because I was completely wrong in saying that. We need to discover God's grace, understand it's there, and fully embrace it, and be men of God, women of God, rather than being completely narcissistic and being attached to this earth. Because ultimately, none of this matters, really. If you understand that, what matters ultimately is God and your relationship with him. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's great. Paul, that was awesome. There was something you said in there that just kind of blew my mind, because it's something I believe in very, very deeply, is being in the world, not of the world. And to me, that has become a staple in my life, is being in the world and not of the world. And we all struggle with that. I'm going to give you a little pushback on suffering, because I believe that when you find peace, you shouldn't suffer. And that's, again, that's a little bit of pushback on that, but I don't feel that I need to suffer anymore. And I think that once you find that peace, that suffering is gone. I don't think it's something that we need to do, is suffer every day. But again, your religion or your faith is in the Catholic or Catholicism, and that's great. But it's bringing you to this. I look at it as we're all coming to the same place, and I think that's what's important. But I just don't think you need to suffer. Gonzo, I got to ask you about that. What do you think about that?
Jesus suffered.
Suffering.
The disciples suffered. The apostles suffered. Suffering is an intricate part of the Christian walk. Every patriarch of the faith suffered to a certain extent. And in the book of Hebrews, it says that despising the shame, he endured the cross. So let us not forget what Paul says, or even what James says. Count it all joy when you suffer trials of various kinds, for these things are there to produce, like precious faith. And Peter, and suffering, we haven't experienced suffering in the United States for a long time, and I believe that suffering is coming. But let us make no mistake that suffering will produce for us a like precious faith. So I don't say this to argue with you, Tony. I don't say this to point out error or anything like that. I just say this to say that if suffering comes, continue to walk forth in your faith, because it is God who strengthens us in suffering. And he gave us every example, both in the scripture and in the life of great men and women that came before us in the faith, that endured suffering. And yet they laid down their life as an offering for God. And they put their hope in the resurrection of life, who was Jesus. So look, this is I talk about this with people all the time, because I have friends who are like, well, Donald Trump didn't win the election, so God doesn't care about us. I was like, well, you're ridiculous if that's your point, because suffering has been here since the beginning of time for people of faith. And that is why we have faith, because even if we should be put in the fiery furnace like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, we will not be burned. We will not smell like smoke. We will walk through and they will say, what is different about that guy? How could he be stoned to death and still have a smile on his face? How can he still trust his God and have gone through such pain and suffering? That is what our faith is for. It is to produce for us eternal life. So I'm sorry. I disagree with that, at least on the very context that we just discussed. But man, suffering may come, but I believe we have a good Savior, and we have a testimony for eternal life. We just want to say that.
I get it too, but Jesus came to give us perfect peace, and perfect peace.
No, he didn't.
Is not suffering. So.
Perfect peace in all circumstances. That's what he said. Perfect peace that surpasses your circumstances. So that could mean the Apostle Paul, sitting in a jail cell in his own fecal matter, being chained to other prisoners, still has perfect peace that surpasses understanding. That's perfect peace.
I understand.
That's perfect peace. So our circumstances around us might be tough, but we have life eternal.
Maybe we're getting into semantics when it gets into suffering, but suffering to me is somebody who's anguished, somebody who is to me, that's suffering. Suffering is not being whole and strong. I believe I am finding perfect peace in my life. I'm finding that I don't have to suffer to be a Christian. I lead by example. I lead by creation. I lead by what I know is to be true, what I know is to be real. So, and that's the only pushback that I have. I don't think as a Christian, if you tell
I respect that.
as
That's
a Christian,
fair.
you need to suffer. I think that is not an acceptable, we'll call it an acceptable, what's the word I'm looking for, is acceptance into a Christian faith and a Christian belief.
Like an excuse.
Tony.
Gonzo, I want Gonzo in on
I
that.
respect that, Tony. That's well said.
Well, what I would say about the suffering thing, there is, I mean, I think the best example of this is I just think of Job. I think of Job because a lot of people, you know, I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this, but I've met and talked to a lot of people, and they go through something hard in their life or a lot of bad things happen, and they say, "Oh, I feel like Job," but they don't feel like Job. Because, you know, they're sitting here and they're miserable and they're complaining and they're like, woe is me. And not once was Job like, woe is me. Not once, now I don't know if the word suffering was ever used in that story, right? But basically, to summarize really quickly, you know, Job, he lost his children. He was diseased. He lost everything he had. He lost his possessions, everything on earth that he could have been tied to. Satan took it all away with God's permission.
I like the word enduring. Job endured. He didn't. I don't like the word suffering. He endured.
No, I don't agree at all.
You guys have heard the phrase "the patience of Job." You've heard people. Have you ever heard that?
I think so.
Have you ever heard of anybody say you have the patience of Job?
Absolutely.
And there's a reason why that was said, because of what he endured.
Well, and so, you know, to tie that specific example off, you know, the phrase that it says is that, you know, when Job was met with all of these things, he rejoiced in the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how he met all of those things. He didn't meet it with this despair and this anguish. Everybody told him to, you know, or not everybody. I mean, there were people who told him to denounce God. They said, "Wow, God's not doing anything for you. You should denounce him." And he said, "No, absolutely not." And he was steadfast throughout that whole thing. Even when, you know, he had lost pretty much everything he could lose. He lost everything physical. He lost his health, all of it down the drain. And of course, we all know what happened after that. He got his life back. Everything, you know, that was his reward. And but that's just one example. You know, I feel personally, when it comes to suffering, is that there is suffering. There is a period of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I think though. Go ahead, Gonzo. I just wanted to say I think suffering is glorified. Suffering should not be glorified. Suffering doesn't make you holy.
No. Well,
Okay, when you go to the gym, right, and you're working out and you're feeling a really bad burn and you want to stop your set, you're on like the 10th rep, but you have to do 15. You're determined to do 15, and so you push yourself through finishing those 15. You're not suffering at 10. You're not suffering on those last 5. That's what it means to suffer. That's to glorify true suffering.
Yeah, I would agree. But
to improve
suffering
yourself.
I would agree it is suffering, but I would say suffering is not the objective of training.
No, it's not. I would agree, of course.
Well,
but you have to suffer in order to get to your goal. That's the point.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a language thing too, right? Because obviously,
and suffering is an intricate part of the Christian walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, Job absolutely.
To the extent that we're supposed to bear one another's burdens with each other. Mm-hmm. If we see our neighbors suffering, if we see, you know, our friends suffering, you know, if we're strong in the moment, you know, we're called to join with them in suffering, right? I mean, theologically speaking, in its essence, that is what Christianity is. But I think Western culture has given us this idea of individualism, where it's like, yo, if I'm good, I'm good. Just use me as an example. I walk with my head up. Do you do the same thing? But we started off this conversation about minimum wage, and the fact is that a family in America cannot raise a family effectively on minimum wage. So in essence, that family is suffering. So really, in a Christ-like Christian view, we should, right, like step up to the plate and suffer with them in some way, some shape, some form. I'm not talking about politically. I'm not talking about through legislation. I'm talking about if Jesus Christ is embodied in you, if the Holy Spirit fills you, then he may lead you, just as he led Jesus, to suffer burdens with one another, just as we've been instructed through the Gospels, just as we've been instructed through the writings of Paul. So I would say that suffering is a part of the Christian walk. It doesn't mean that you need to walk with your head down and be miserable and worship your suffering and say, because I suffered today, I am worthy, or because I suffered today, I should receive a special crown of life from God. But I think that the true fellowship of suffering is that we come together when we see our brother, when we see a sister, when we see somebody in the faith, even when we see somebody outside of the faith in a hard place, that we use the light that is in us to stand alongside of them. I think that's what Jesus was talking about when he said, let the kingdom of heaven come on earth as it is in heaven. And I think that we will get acquainted with those things, just as it says in Isaiah 53, that Jesus himself was acquainted with grief and that he was a man of many sufferings. So, I think this is a really good and productive conversation. And there's a lot of suffering that's happening around us. Let's not get stuck in just the way that we perceive it from a Western perspective, because there's a lot going on sometimes that we miss. And I think it's important. And I could get better at this. I'm not throwing shots at anybody. I could get better at this. And this conversation has helped me want to get better at this. But there are plenty of opportunities out there to do it, gentlemen. And I just want to say that as part of this conversation, because this is a new year and there's new opportunities, right? We're always moving forward in God.
I think
I'm glad to be here with you guys.
I think it's a topic that there is no resolve when you think about it, because again, I don't feel that as a Christian, as my faith goes, I don't need to suffer anymore. And I think that's what Jesus came for, is to take away the suffering. I don't want to say I don't believe in Old Testament, but basically Jesus came to crush the Old Testament. I mean, to me, that's important. Not
you can't fulfill it.
Yeah, to fulfill it. And I don't believe that. I believe that the Old Testament is a teaching tool. But again, I like how you say that, Frank, the fulfillment of the Old Testament. So, but I don't think this is something.
He also said, not one jot or not one tittle of the Old Testament shall pass away.
Yeah.
So there's more to come. There's more to come.
This is something that we can.
Let me ask you this, Tony. The Old Testament contains the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not, covet thy neighbor's wife or the neighbor's goods. Thou shalt serve God and only God. Considering that that's in the Old Testament, any of you guys, please feel free to answer that. Which one of those commandments should we not keep or make important in our lives? Should we murder? Should we lie? Should we bear the false witness? Should we have idols? Should we commit adultery? Should we do these things because it's Old Testament? No, because the law of God is written in our hearts. These things are cumulative. They're together. The fact of the matter is that we don't earn our way into God's grace through law, but the law has been established as good. The law has been, and those are Paul's words, Romans 3. The law has been established as good. So, we should strive to live a good life, and we should strive to remember the prophets, remember the law, remember those testimonies, because we have been grafted in. We have been included in this promise of eternal life through the true God, who is Yahweh, who is Yeshua the Messiah, and who is coming again. Look, the New Testament does not negate the Old. It does not. I don't care what doctrine tells you that. It does not.
That's definitely not what I said. But I think that when we dive too deep in it, it's a very simple thing. I think we look too deep into what is so simple. We know what's right or wrong. It's inherent, what's good or evil. And that's a really simple thing to understand. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're going up to a convenience store and sticking them up. You know that's wrong. You know it's wrong.
Why do you think that's wrong?
What do you mean?
Why do you think that's wrong?
Because it's inherent in you. You know you shouldn't.
That's arbitrary.
Yeah.
That's completely arbitrary.
I think that's what Jesus came to give us, is to give us that really, he came as a man to show us that he can be perfect on this earth. And that's, to me, that's what's important. It's God's son came to this earth to show us that he can be perfect. We can be perfect when we find him. That's simple. And again,
He said, bear your cross as I did.
Yeah.
Yes. Bear your cross, suffer. Right?
Yeah. Well, we can get into that. You know,
I'm curious. I want to know,
guys. So
I want to know what Paul seems to be hammering away on the suffering. I'm trying to figure out what is your perspective on suffering, Paul, and where do you see that pertaining to being a godly man?
In order to be a godly man, it takes suffering. That just comes with it. In order for you to be more Christ-like, in order for you to strive to be in his grace, it takes suffering. You're going to need to suffer in order to be there. You suffer. Okay, hold on.
Suffer would be part of it, but why do you need to suffer?
in other words, I think suffering is important. I think understanding that you have suffered to find your peace. And I think that's what's important. But do I think you have to suffer your whole time on this earth? Absolutely not. I don't think that's what God came here for, is for us to suffer our whole life. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
If we didn't have suffering, we wouldn't have an obstacle in order to choose. So look at it this way, right? You could even ask the question of why is there evil? You could ask the question because they kind of run parallel. Why would God create us and also have evil at the same time? He could have just made a world where it was only good. Why does God create us and also have suffering involved as well? Why is that a necessary thing? The fact is, well, suffering comes along with it just naturally. If you want to be Christ-like, in order to avoid sin and to be in his grace, it requires suffering. But in these moments where we suffer, it makes us stronger, and it allows us to follow God more, because in those moments of suffering, when we turn and choose God at the end of the day and decide, I'm going to follow his will, regardless of how much I'm suffering, that makes us more Christ-like. Because we are saying at the end of the day, even though I'm going through so much pain, even though I'm bearing this cross, I will still follow you. I'm not going to turn my back on you and follow Satan and become. That's why it's very important to not be of this earth. These paganist religions, these cults, where it's all about sex, it's all about orgies, it's all about taking drugs. That is wrong, inherently wrong, because what you're doing is you're telling God, I will not follow your will. I'm going to instead use your gifts in order for my pleasure. And it takes suffering. And in those moments of suffering, when you're looking at the world and you're thinking, man, I would really love to go do this or that.
Well, it also takes suffering too to be in a fallen state as well.
I'm sorry?
It also takes suffering to be in a fallen state.
To be in a fallen state?
Yeah, like you suffer in a fallen state as well. You know, it's part of being in a fallen state of suffering. So I think suffering is just a part of life. You know, I wouldn't say it's required to suffer. I respect you. I respect what you're saying, but I just think that I've noticed people would tell me, woe is you. You must suffer. And no, like I need to make good choices so I don't suffer. You know, so I can live a better godly life, more Christ-like. So I won't suffer more, because people that turn away from God suffer more, in my opinion. So I just don't think like suffering is an excuse to be like, I'm suffering, so therefore I must be doing something right, kind of thing. I think you should overcome your suffering.
I think maybe it's maybe it's being kind of misconstrued here. So suffering, it's supposed to be essentially a test. We see suffering as not necessarily suffering as being, maybe you guys are confusing me saying that suffering, I'm saying suffering is a good thing and that's what we should promote. I think that's where the disconnect is. We embrace suffering and we allow suffering because it gives us opportunities to choose God. And each time that you choose God in these moments of suffering, you get closer to him. You're in his grace even stronger in those moments. And so that's why we embrace suffering. You could be in a life of peace, but in order to be in that time of peace, you're going to have to suffer in order to stay there. I don't know what you mean by time of peace, Tony. I really don't know what does that mean? Living life peacefully.
Really quick, I'm going to get out of here, guys. I ordered the McGregor fight. I want to thank you guys. I wish I could stick around for this.
Frank,
Carry on, gentlemen. You guys are great men. I always enjoy being with you.
Frank, who's winning this
Back
fight?
at you, Frank. Have a good night.
McGregor.
Thank you, Frank. Tell everybody how they
Thanks,
can
guys.
find
McGregor in 2. Yeah. Check me out, Frank_Pesci_ on Instagram, Frank Pesci on YouTube, and sign up for my website. We just launched a website, or I should say it's being launched, frankpesci.com. Also, connectorscorner.com. Go there, get on our email list. We're going to put out a lot of great content, crypto, AI investing, business development, entrepreneurial opportunities. There's going to be some just great stuff that is on there. I encourage you guys to come and check me out, and I appreciate that you do. I also want to plug all of my guys here, Tony Bruno, Chris Warren, Mantidote, Paul Galvin, and Martin Otino. These are great men. I enjoy being with them every week, and I look forward to being back here next week. And I also want to say tonight, McGregor Poirier, Mac in 2. If I'm wrong, doesn't matter. Still come check me out on the social media and the website. All right, fellas? I appreciate you all.
Frank Pesci, much love, honor, and respect, brother. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, brother.
Have a great night, folks.
You too. Later.
Well,
He says, the suffering servant is our savior, and we're here to mimic him.
Yeah.
Now I got to chime in.
Go ahead.
So I think Gonzo had a very valid point where this may be a language issue conditional on our definition of suffering. So is not having pleasure suffering, or is that staying on the straight and narrow?
Yeah, I think it's
it could be
overcoming.
conditional on that.
I think it's important to have a very solid definition of suffering. I would say a state of suffering is experiencing something unpleasant, being in a state of feeling unpleasant.
Okay.
Now, are we talking physically and spiritually?
Physically and spiritually, for sure. Yeah.
So are both of those things necessary?
Well, what do you mean by necessary?
Well, because
do you need to suffer? Because I think that is where we're having the kind of disconnect is.
Well, because what I understand, if I understand your argument correctly, you're saying that we need this is a perpetual suffering that needs to happen, right?
Okay, let me explain it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for example, you have an addiction to a drug of some kind. Okay, we see addictions as a sin for multiple reasons. I think one of the most clear reasons why is because you're idolizing the drug and you're essentially surrendering to the drug and saying, this is what I need and this is what I desire, because you're placing that above God. And that is one reason why it's a sin. I'm sure you could find other reasons why that's a sin. I'll keep that as the example. I would argue that if you are a drug addict, you are going to be suffering in order to avoid using that substance. Every time that you get the cravings, it is going to be extremely unpleasant. However, it is we see that as a good thing, because you are suffering, and in that moment where you turn away from God, you are deciding, I will instead look towards God and follow him. And so that's why we embrace the suffering. We see the suffering as a good thing in that sense, because we are saying, thank you, God, for this suffering, because in this moment I am becoming stronger because I am choosing you rather than the substance, rather than taking the drug. And that's why suffering is seen as a good thing and necessary.
Yeah, it's a language thing, because I use one word and you use another word, but I think we're talking about the same thing. So I think we're on the same page now. So when you think of the word suffering, how does that make you feel when you just think of the word suffering? How does that make you feel?
When I think of the word suffering, I think of like just extremely uncomfortable, kind of fidgety, just like.
What do you think? Okay, what do you think of when you think of the word overcoming? Well, how do you feel when you think of the word overcome?
Victory.
Victory, proud.
So when I have something that I want to indulge in that I know that I'm trying to not indulge in, instead of saying, oh, I got to suffer not doing that because I crave it, so I'm going to suffer from doing it, I think of I'm overcoming it, not suffering to it. I'm going to overcome it. So I think we have the same definitions. I just tend to like to use the word overcoming, not suffering. So that's just my 2 cents, and that's all I have to say on that. But we're on the same page now. I'm glad you.
I would say you and I are on the same. Like I see what you mean. I'm just using the Roman Catholic terminology in that it is a good thing that I'm suffering because it's giving me an opportunity to overcome and to be with God.
I ain't trying to kick you or nothing, but that's my issue with Catholicism. It's so like
I'm not suffering at all.
It's so heavy. And you got something to say? Let's hear it, man.
So I was trying to make a point with the suffering and on the language, and Manny brought up a very good point. How we choose to frame the message. So they're all valid points. I think when that suffering psychology goes too far from suffering to conquering and being victorious, it can lead towards toxic passivity where you're resigned, and instead of engaging, and man, how did you put it?
Overcoming, right?
Correct. So instead of being resigned to being passively toxic, how I would see it, and I'm not a scholar, but Jesus Christ came so we could have life to the fullest. And that life to the fullest was not through us, but it was with the Almighty, doing it the Almighty's way through the example of Christ in the flesh. He came, he healed, he reconciled, and he showed the way how to behave as a man. So we can enjoy life to the fullest and eventually come to that perfect peace through overcoming ourselves in our heart, a lifetime of sanctification. And we're going to fall, we're going to make mistakes, to pull ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep going relentlessly, overcoming our battles one at a time and pursuing the example in the flesh as Jesus set for us in his example. That's how I would frame it.
Yeah. I got a lot of people.
I'm going to ask Anthony Velasquez to join the panel. And coming up real soon, we are going to have Gonzo News. This is a new segment in our Saturday night show. It's Gonzo News. So that's coming up real quick. So I think you'll enjoy this.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. I can't wait for it. I just saw real quick on that last thing we've been talking about. Catholicism really triggers me nowadays, fellas. And I'm just like, Saturday night, get it off your chest. I'm getting it off my chest. Catholicism, it triggers me nowadays because I think it's really caused a lot of men, like you said, good point, Martin, to be passive when I think we need to overcome. Not that we don't recognize the things we suffer from, whether it be a drug addiction, a porn addiction, whatever, we take notice that it's tough, but we overcome and know that the reward is waiting on the other side. But not that we sit in suffering and, oh, woe is me, I must suffer. My wife's cheating on me, I should suffer through that. Hell no. Overcome those situations. Beat those situations. And Anthony, I disagree. I love you, man, but I disagree with you. I don't want to embrace my pain. I want to overcome my pain. But I get your point. I get your point. But that's just my beef with Catholicism. It's so much like embrace your suffering, embrace your pain.
I think you have. I think you have a misunderstanding. I think you have a misunderstanding of it. It's not. It's not that we say. So you use the example of like your wife cheating on you or something like that. We aren't saying that you should, if you're feeling something painful, you should just like sit there and then let it just like hurt you. That's not what we're saying at all. It is commonly taught that if you turn to God and you follow him, that he will lead you out with the help of his grace, and the Holy Spirit will lead you out of those situations. Now that comes in many different ways. I think speaking specifically about that situation, it is clearly seen that if you are being cheated on by your wife, that you should see that God is telling you, this is not right for you. You should get out of there. Okay. If you follow God and you understand how to actually do that, you won't be in those scenarios. And guess what? That is overcoming. Okay. Because that's suffering that you are getting suffering. And instead of being like, I'm just going to like let her do it, or I'm going to go take drugs or do whatever, you're overcoming and you're looking towards God and you're saying, thank you for this suffering. And in this moment of suffering, I'm going to turn towards God and I'm going to, through the help of your grace, get out of this situation. I'm going to follow you. That is not that Catholicism doesn't promote this idea of if you're in a state of suffering, live in it and stay idle. Okay. It does not promote that. It says, if you're in a state of suffering, look towards God and follow his will. Because if you do that, he will guide you to the right place.
I can roll with that. Yeah. I appreciate that response.
I think this is an issue that will not be resolved between these panels, but I do believe that Jesus came to take my suffering. I look at someone that is born again and understands that Jesus came to take that suffering. I will live in perfect peace, and I do not have to suffer anymore, because one of the things I say to somebody that isn't in their perfect peace is to suffer and die. I mean, that is plain and simple. Yeah. Suffering, I think, is something that I think is essential for certain things. I think we've all experienced it, but I don't think we have to suffer anymore. It's just plain and simple. Anthony Velasquez is Anthony from Occupied California. I love that. So I want your take on this, and then we're going to go to Gonzo News.
Well, my Lord suffered and died, and I shouldn't expect anything less. I want to suffer and I want to die, just like him. More push-ups, drill sergeant.
So you
More
don't
push-ups.
think he suffered, so you don't have to?
No, he suffered and died so that our sins are forgiven. I don't know where you're getting this idea that he suffered and died so that we don't have to suffer. That's not what it's ever taught.
Jesus, I believe that Jesus suffered physical pain. Absolutely. I believe he suffered, like if we're going to use physical pain as the definition of suffering, he absolutely suffered on that cross. It was absolutely painful. It absolutely sucked, right? Like there's no disagreement there, I don't think, right? But here's what I believe is that Jesus did not suffer at all spiritually. I believe internally there was temptation, there was thoughts coming at him, I'm sure. You read the story of like, Satan trying to tempt Jesus on the mountain and what have you. There are absolutely those things there, but I believe that internally, inside Jesus, inside this man was, and is, I guess, just total calm, total peace, perfect perfect love and perfect peace. That was what was inside him, and I believe that was the example that he was trying to set. So I believe that just to cap off the whole thing with the suffering, I believe that I agree with what Paul is saying to an extent. I mean, I do believe that the suffering is necessary, but the question is not, is the suffering necessary? The question is the suffering perpetual? I believe.
I like how you put that. That's good.
I do not believe that the suffering is perpetual. The suffering comes from when, you know, we're born in our screwed up families. We're born into darkness. We're living in darkness. And the suffering comes when that is stripped away, so to speak. You know, like if like for example, worrying. This is a problem that I had, you know, pretty much from the womb. I was worrying about everything. I used to worry and worry and worry and worry. And sometimes I'll still catch myself worrying. And when I worry, and when anybody worries, they suffer, right? They're suffering when they're worrying. But like with other things that I've experienced this with, there comes a point where that ego, because that's what worrying is, it's ego. Worrying is trying to control the future. It's trying to control your life. It's trying to take your life into your hands instead of allowing God to give you your direction. And when you can, when that ego is stripped away from you, that is a painful, dark thing. And so, yes, you have to suffer and die. But I believe that at the end of that process, you are a new person. And when Jesus talks about being born again, that I believe is what he meant. I believe that's it is coming out the end of that tunnel and being in that tranquility. And I believe that we can have that on earth. I believe once you have suffered that, and once you have overcome it, you do not need to suffer again.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, and I swear this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. Like you said, Gonzo, spiritually he had perfect peace and perfect love.
Yeah.
Suffering is worthless without perfect peace and perfect love. The objective is not to suffer, it's to have perfect peace and perfect love through suffering, enduring suffering, and still having perfect peace and perfect love. But people suffer, but they don't have perfect peace and they don't have perfect love, and they think that that's okay. It's not okay. You're really suffering spiritually too. So come to a place where you have perfect peace in your spirit, perfect love in your spirit. Then you'll probably suffer less physically. That's all I want to say about it. Just some food for thought.
Well, I want to wrap this segment up because I think we could go on for hours about this. Anthony, especially Paul, dude, I appreciate your input and your thought process. To me, is just my mind is blown right now, Paul, by your thought process. I think it's incredibly deep. I think it's incredibly intelligent. And I don't want to go back to your age, but for somebody you're 19, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it blows my mind that you can dive that deep into something that I'm going to say 99.999999999 guys your age do not dive into. So I think that the fact that you're even diving into something like that is so complimentive to your character.
Yeah.
It just is. It just is.
Of any age.
Yeah, of any age, but especially at 19 years old. I mean, you know, I'm almost 40 years older than you. If I had your thought process, and I think you have, you know, and I'm saying this as a older gentleman to you, is I think that, and I'm not saying this in the bad way, but you have a lot to learn and you have a lot more to dive into. And I think that at the end, I see nothing but great things for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I just see you as a great father, a great figurehead, a great leader. When I talk with you, I see that in you. And it's so much appreciated here because your input is so valuable. When I hear you speak, I'm like I don't know about the rest of the panel, but I'm sure it's the same. The fact that you interact and you are not afraid to interject your thought process is what I like to say. I don't like to say feelings because it's a thought process. Feelings, I think, are weak, but it's your thought process, and I think it blows my mind. It does. Yeah. But I think it's super valuable. I think it's a point that we really can't. We're never going to come to a conclusion or an agreement. But the fact that 6 of us can sit here and discuss this as gentlemen, as Christians, as realistically philosophers, believe it or not. I mean, this is philosophy. This is a Christian philosophy take on suffering, and I think it's really important. And I'm going to have to make a separate show on Thursday night and get Michael Foster, and I want to call the show "Suffering as a Christian," and you can debate this with him. And I think that as a Michael Foster, I want to call him like a biblical scholar or I don't know, is a theologian a good name for him?
Yeah, theologians.
I think he's a guy that really, really puts things in perspective. So I think this is a kind of a topic that I don't think that I'm qualified to I know what my thought process is, but I don't think I'm qualified to really dive deep in this rabbit hole. And we've gone deep in this rabbit hole, which is great to me. I think it's tremendous. But you know, I appreciate Anthony, Paul, Martin, Man, Gonzo, all your input, but I don't think it's something that I think we've beat a dead horse right now, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do at 2 hours, we're going to go to Gonzo News. I can't do a screen share, but this is a new segment on Saturday nights. It's Gonzo News, and Gonzo News is going to be the crazy news. So I'm going to play this real quick. I can't screen share it because I'm trying to convert from Google Chrome to Apple, but I'm going to go ahead and play this. So here we go. Yeah, 1 second. Live from San Antonio, Texas, the Gonzo News. Go for it, Gonzo.
Well, let's see here. So first up, Larry King, broadcasting legend, interviewer, talk show host. He dead.
Yep.
That's
Larry
it for
King
that one.
dead. Yeah.
He dead. Yeah, he was 87. And I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he had I know he was having some health problems recently.
Have you guys heard that Larry King died? Everybody on the panel?
Yeah.
So figure we start out with
I think he was 87, and I think he had like a 25-year-old wife, if I'm not correct, or something crazy like.
Rest in peace, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I know he had I think he had a stroke recently. So, but let's see here. Lyft test program offers drivers more rides in exchange for 10% pay cut. Lyft calls its feature priority mode. Drivers call it poverty mode.
Oh, wow.
So,
do people have any of you guys used Lyft? Because I've only used Uber.
Uber. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've used Lyft before.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Lyft the equivalent of going from 7-Eleven to Circle K?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Same animal. Same
That
animal.
seems like what it is, but I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, and I've talked to people who are Uber drivers and Uber Eats people, and the one thing that I've always heard is just that it's a grind. It's a real grind sometimes, and so I don't know if they see this as being an improvement, but yeah.
Oh, who's making the money on the back end? Lyft.
Oh yeah, Lyft. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're talking drivers are, bottom end of everything, and unfortunately, it's kind of you're going to be hard pressed to start your own taxi service or do anything like that because just the competition and everything. But who knows? Go for it.
Anybody wants to chime in? Chime in. This is Gonzo News live from San Antonio, Texas.
It's about to get outrageous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Morning.
do it.
I'm just waiting for the next headline.
All right, let's see here. TSA agent has been convicted for tricking a woman into showing her breasts. This is a true
man.
story.
I don't think he tricked her.
According to The Star, it says here, a former TSA agent who was accused of tricking a traveler into showing her breast as she went through security at Los Angeles International Airport. I don't know if that's LAX. Sounds like LAX to me. Pleaded no contest Friday to false imprisonment, authorities said. Apparently, he was charged with using fraud or deceit to falsely imprison the woman in June 2019. The woman told investigators that this man told her he had to look inside her bra to ensure she wasn't hiding anything. Had her hold her pants away from her waist for a check, and then said he would take her to a private room for further security screening, prosecutor said.
Well, he's creative.
Yeah. But when they were alone on an elevator, Lamelli told the woman he could perform the screening there and ordered her to lift her shirt and show her breasts, then look down her pants, she said. Lamelli then told the woman she was free to go and added that she had nice breasts, authorities said.
But he did win no contest, correct?
Yes.
I don't see any problem here.
Yeah.
This is all religion. If they can grab our balls, why can't they look at her breasts? I don't know. What's the problem?
Oh, that's a great one. Oh, I love that.
What's the problem, officer?
There's just a small moment of levity there. Now for the real heavy-hitting stuff.
He's like, yeah, I did it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
So that was just a warm-up, Gonzo. We got more?
We've got so much more. We've got funny stuff. We got some heavy stuff. This is a heavy one. Twitter has refused to remove child porn because it didn't violate policies lawsuit. So, according to the New York Post, Twitter refused to take down widely shared explicit images and videos of a teenage trafficking victim because an investigation didn't find a violation of the company's policies, a scathing lawsuit alleges. So this was filed Wednesday by the victim and his mother in the Northern District of California. Alleges Twitter made money off of the clips, which showed a 13-year-old engaged in explicit acts and are a form of child abuse material. And let's see here. I'm trying not to trigger this video here with any words, but yeah. So this is pretty brutal, but apparently they just said this doesn't violate our policies. How about you file a copyright instead, a copyright infringement case instead?
What does that tell everybody?
Yeah.
Twitter is a bunch of no.
Yeah. Yep. kind of says a lot about the readership. Let's see here.
Gonzo, do you know about the Elsa Gate thing? You can continue. I just want to know if you know about
Elsa
that.
Gate?
Yeah.
It sounds familiar. Does it have
Okay.
anything to do with the Wayfair thing, or?
It was the weird Elsa from Frozen on YouTube, all those really creepy cartoons that would get like millions of views, and then it was uncovered to be like a child pedophile ring.
Okay,
Cover
yeah,
up.
I don't know much about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy, though.
Yeah. All over
Yeah,
YouTube.
I gotta say though, Frozen was a good movie. I actually liked it. As weird as it was a good movie.
Yeah, let's see here. We got the next one. Let's get a little political here. Pharma. Joe Biden has just frozen Trump's lower cost insulin and epinephrine rule. So if y'all remember during the first presidential debate, which was a glorious thing, one of the things that Trump mentioned was that he was lowering drug costs, and he eventually went on to say more about that and how he was lowering drug costs, and one of those was insulin. And of course now Joe Biden, see, Big Pharma is smiling. The three big insulin producers are Eli Lilly and Company, and Novo Nordisk A&S, and Sanofi SA, in which they dominate more than 90% of the world insulin market by value. After swearing in, U.S. President Joe Biden's HHS froze the Trump administration's December 2020 drug policy that mandates community health centers to pass on all their insulin and epinephrine discount savings to patients.
Why do you think they did that? Anybody? Why do you think they did that? Profits?
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Joe Biden's getting paid by Big Pharma.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, it was the drug rule was put in place to benefit patients who have had a hard time paying for expensive insulin and allergy medication. Former President Trump campaigned on lowering the price of important pharmaceutical drugs like insulin, which is used to treat diabetes, and epinephrine. Diabetes afflicts over a quarter of Medicare beneficiaries and drives billions in Medicare spending every year.
Okay.
So,
And all they have to do is eat meat and drink water, and they'll be just fine.
yeah. But now they're upping the costs of all the doctor approved stuff here, the industry approved stuff, I should say. So there's that. Let's see here. Okay, I think you guys will appreciate this one. Paleontologists finally, after many years, have had their first good look at a dinosaur's butt. For the first time ever, scientists take a closer look at the dinosaur's cloaca that was used to expel waste and potentially attract a mate. And this comes from CNET, and I gotta tell you, they have images for this one. And this dinosaur's tail looks like a toothbrush. It's got like some fur coming out there, and there's something going on down there, but they're very interested in the nether regions of these creatures here. Paleontologists spend their entire academic careers studying the anatomy of dinosaurs. Now a team of scientists from the University of Bristol has finally described in detail a dinosaur's cloacal or vent, which is used for everything from defecation and urination to attracting a mate to breed.
Well, would that bring us to pheromones?
I guess that would.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to bring it up, guys. Pheromone infused beard oil from Tactical Soap. This is God of War. Okay, this is beautiful. I'm going to do a quick commercial here. This stuff smells incredible. I have it on my beard right now. So if you use my coupon code KING, there's a link in the description of this video. We have CologneSticks, all different kinds. These are all pheromone infused. It's kind of like the butt of a dinosaur, Okay, so we're going right along with this. We're going to follow through on this. We've got pheromone infused soap. Go to tacticalsoap.com right here. Get your soap. I know that I've sent some to Gonzo. I've sent some to Man. Quick, how do you guys like it?
Oh, it's fantastic. Top tier.
Yeah,
Like there's no other brand I want to get.
exactly.
It's natural and it lasts a long time and it's very practical.
Yeah. So in the description of this video, there's a link. Go to tacticalsoap.com. I just dripped a little on the table. I'm going to put it on my beard. Smells really good. This is a beard oil. Okay. God of War. I don't know if you can see that right there. That's actually, just so anybody knows, I believe that's a picture of Richard Cooper, entrepreneur in cars. So great stuff, but get some. Get some tactical soap, cologne sticks, and soap. And tell Scott I sent you. Gonzo news, let's carry on.
Gonzo news. So yeah, so we've gotten the hottest take here on the dinosaur butts. So they've been very hard at work over there in science. Next up, from the New York Times, bomb explodes at California church known for hateful views.
Wow.
Keyword hateful. So let's just see what their hateful views are. Officials said no one was injured in the attack. The church had been the target of protests over its messages against women, Jews, LGBTQ people, and the Black Lives Matter movement. The FBI and local authorities are investigating a bombing on Saturday morning at a church in Los Angeles County that had recently been the target of protests for its extremist views against LGBTQ people, women, and Black Lives Matter. The police responded to report. They responded to a report of an explosion at the church, First Works Baptist Church in El Monte, California, just after 1 a.m. on Saturday. An improvised explosive device was found to be the source of the attack, and it seems that they're not really sure who was responsible, and the investigation is ongoing. But apparently, leading up to this, the church has been the target of protests, and more than 14,000 people have signed an online petition calling on El Monte's mayor to recognize this church as a hate group and to take them out of our city.
What church is that? Didn't say.
Like I said, this is
No, it's close to Pasadena. It's about 7 miles away.
This was First Works Baptist Church in El Monte, California.
And they were some kind of extremist bomb, whatever.
Yeah, there was a bomb that went off. Yeah, there's a bomb that went off.
I haven't heard of it. Of course, I don't watch the news, so it's the first time I've heard of it.
I don't either. This is brand new from the New York Times. So.
Wow, I didn't know I was amongst this. I know there's a lot of people that wear masks around here. There's a lot of compliant people.
Anthony, can we see your mask one time tonight? That you
I
wear?
I don't even have one.
Well, you usually wear one.
It's a really small one.
Yeah, very small.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
Okay, and it works well, correct?
Yeah, I don't think it's effective at all as far as what they're concerned. But I wear it. I'm compliant. I'm compliant, guys. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. More Gonzo news. Now, let's Martin. You got something to say on?
Yeah, hey gentlemen, I'm gonna have to get going. I just received the message, so I'm gonna step out. But I'd like to wish each and every one of you a good night. I look forward to talking to you, gentlemen. I'll learn from you. A lot of admiration all around. So love, honor, and respect to each and every one of you. And Tony, thanks for the invite every week. Appreciate it.
We appreciate
it, guys.
How can everybody find you? On Instagram?
Martin Otino on Instagram. Just phonetically the way it sounds.
There it is right there. Martin Otino. You guys follow him on Instagram for sure. Solid guy and up and coming for sure. And we look forward to your content coming soon.
Yes, sir. I got things in the works, Tony. I appreciate each and every one of you. Lots of strength.
We appreciate you, Mark. Thank you, man.
Gentlemen, cheers. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Good to have you.
Cheers.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Good night. Good night.
Okay, more Gonzo news.
Back to Gonzo News here. Let's see. Yeah, so obviously with that church thing going on, like they're definitely, as far as I'm concerned, they're gonna paint pictures of churches. They're gonna paint pictures of religion. They're attacking religious freedom right now. Basically, that's what's going on. It would not surprise me if we get to a point where there's going to be, your no Christian zones. So who knows when that'll be around, but we can see hints of it. It's coming. So everybody's got to stand up.
That's right.
Oh, geez. Good luck on that.
Let's see here. All right. Now this is another heavy one here. If I can, where did it go? Okay, so this is from a couple weeks ago, but it's still ongoing. I figured this is pretty interesting. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the this is kind of an aside, but there was I believe there was a rumor at the very least that the Pope has been arrested.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I don't know about that, but I'll have to follow up with that a little bit later. But apparently, rumor has it the Pope has been arrested, and it's pretty serious. So,
Child porn? Is it child porn?
Well, it could be. It could be. I don't know. There was apparently a multitude of things going on, so I don't know. Let's see. But a new report reveals grim infant death toll, cruelty at church-run homes in Ireland. This comes from Reuters. Thousands of infants died in Irish homes for unmarried mothers and their offspring, mostly run by the Catholic Church from the 1920s to the 1990s. An inquiry found on Tuesday an appalling mortality rate that reflected brutal living conditions. The report, which covered 18 so-called mother and baby homes where over decades young pregnant women were hidden from society, is the latest in a series of government commission papers that have laid bare some of the Catholic Church's worst abuses. Around 9,000 children died in all. The report found a mortality rate of 15%. The proportion of children who died before their first birthday in one home, Besborough, and County Cork, was as high as 75% in 1943. The infants were taken from mothers and sent overseas to be adopted. Children were vaccinated without consent. Anonymous testimony from residents compared the institutions to prisons where they were verbally abused by nuns as sinners and spawn of Satan. Women suffered through traumatic labors without any pain relief. And so, yeah, it gets pretty brutal.
Now, who said they were the spawn of Satan? The women?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the nuns. The nuns were saying these, yes.
And this is from Reuters, so I actually consider that a credible news source.
We're having a lot of problems with our current Pope right now because of how virtue signaling of a person he is.
Oh yeah, he's not a Christian. He's not a Catholic.
And this is not a news story with the Catholic Church. I mean, during the time of St. Francis of Assisi, which was like during the Crusaders and all of that, I mean, we had a very ignorant and greedy Pope, and a lot of bishops were they were gluttonous. A lot of them were extremely overweight. And it's a common thing. I mean, when you have an organization that's ran by humans are going to do what humans do, which is a shame, but...
Paul, let me ask you a question. Have you seen the movie Godfather 3?
I've seen 1 and 2. Movie. I've seen 1 and 2. I heard 3 was bad, so I didn't watch it.
You need to watch it. You're a Catholic. You need to watch it.
It's a horrible movie, Tony.
I heard.
I don't know if I'd call it a horrible movie at all. I think it's actually a a great production, but I think it's I don't think it's the third part, the best third part in the sequel for sure. But it is something that
I know the Vatican is involved with it, right? So
yeah, you need to watch it. It's about 3 hours long, but you do need to watch it.
yeah, like the other ones.
You know, Christ said that the wheat will grow with the chaff. That's how it goes. And so it's not just like our president, our current president. It's not strange to find that the wheat grows with the chaff, and it grows together. They're going to grow together, and they're gonna cut them all out. But it's just they're going to grow together. And that's how it goes. Don't be surprised about that. You know.
Yeah, Biden doesn't determine what being an American is.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
and neither does Francis determine what a Catholic is. I mean, even though we have the infallibility of the Pope, but I mean you have to really get into that doctrine, and you can if you're a Catholic. If you don't, you'll abuse it. But I'm not saying that. The guy's a problem, but got problem. Yes.
I have a question. So is you know how when people say things like like, oh, he's not my president, things like that, would you say like, oh, he's not my Pope?
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I mean, but
not my Pope.
The truth is he's human. Pope Francis is human, and you got to go, and you got to figure that out. It is pretty.
I have a conspiracy about it. I think our current Pope was organized, and he was put in that position by the same powers that Biden is in relation with and all these other rulers in order to steer the masses and to control us in a way. I think he was not legitimately put in that position. I do think he is a fake Pope personally. And I think some eggs were cracked for him to be put there for some more devious matters.
Yeah.
What do you
I think
guys
that's right.
think of what did you guys think of what was his name, like Radigan or?
Oh, he was balls out, dude. That guy's balls out, man. Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know
I'm
a
not
couple
familiar.
guys who.
Yeah.
I don't know if he
Radical.
was
Hell yeah.
I don't think he was the last Pope, but he was like a Pope of like a couple.
No, he was the last Pope. He was the
Oh, he was
one
the last?
before that.
Okay, I thought it was like Benedict.
Where is this Pope from?
Well, he's
From Argentina? This Pope?
Yeah, he's from Argentina. Yeah, this guy's from Argentina. Yeah. Yeah, he's a lib. He's a lib, man. He's got some problems. He's
you're not
not
supposed to be lib or Republican when you're a Pope. You're not supposed to be anything.
Did I tell y'all I seen a billboard the other day, subscribed by the Catholic Church, talking about it? Said we need to get misogyny out of Catholicism or some sort. Don't quote me on that. And it said enlist more female priests. And I was
that's completely like that. You would have to severely change a lot about the core beliefs of the Catholic Church in order for there to be a female priest. It's just not allowed at all. Females could be nuns, but that's about it.
They're trying.
You'd have to erase sections of the Bible to have that happen.
Yeah.
To make that acceptable.
Be a nun. I think
in a handbasket. He's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah. No. You can't. Yeah, that's been a big push. But if you listen to Coach Greg Adams, and he makes a lot of sense on a lot of things. If you listen to Coach Greg Adams, you know why. If you accept his philosophy, then you know why priests can never marry and they can only be men. And I know that doesn't explain anything, but you got to understand, a priest has to be like that. No commitments, only to God. He's a free agent, but he's an agent of God. He can't be committed to anybody else, and that's it.
I want to share a quote really quick by Blaise Pascal. Apparently, he was a French Catholic or Christian theologian, writer, philosopher, kind of thing like that. And I shared this with Tony and Gonzo earlier. By Blaise Pascal, he says, "To make light of philosophy is to be a true philosopher."
What does that mean?
To make light of philosophy is to be a true philosopher. What does that mean to everyone?
Well, philosophy deals with truth. That's basically the definition of philosophy is the search for truth and wisdom. I think that's really a good description of philosophy. But I think that's why philosophers cannot be Christians, because when you don't have proof, faith is something that a philosopher, I think, doesn't have in his system.
Mm-hmm.
I think that something that you can't see or touch or physically see is considered faith. So as a philosopher, you need to have that proof that it's there. So what is that, Paul?
This is the first edition of the Apostolic Fathers, and it's going to be quite the journey because there's 12, I think, full books, and these were written a long time ago, and they are essentially supposed to be the ground fame. You could just say Christianity in general, but if you read these, I think it's going to be very enlightening, because I understand not a lot. You guys aren't Roman Catholics, but I think if you read those, you'd be kind of blown away by the direction it would take you. And it for a lot of people, when they read it, they actually convert to Catholicism because there's a lot of kind of like mind blowing stuff in there that kind of makes you like kind of go, oh, maybe Rome is the original area where this all came from. And so for anyone who wants to throw down like a few $100s for a collection of books, I think the Apostolic Fathers.
I'd imagine Elliot Holtz probably has that collection. He's been on this Catholicism journey.
Yeah, he recommends a lot of different books.
Is he Catholic, Roman Catholic?
Paul, check out Elliot Holtz for sure. Yeah, he's converted to Catholicism. You'd probably enjoy it a lot. He's new to it, so some of his content would probably be very interesting to you.
I know of him. I used to watch him back when I was like working out a lot and stuff. He's cool.
He's big into OG Catholicism and the roots of it and the traditionalism of it, the religious part of it. He loves it. He eats it up. But he's also a good man. I think you'd enjoy him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to have him on the show sometime. I would love to have him on the show sometime, guys. I think he'd be a great guest for a Thursday night show. So
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to more Gonzo news.
More Gonzo news. I've got a couple more for you guys. Let's see here. I don't know if this one's funny or just sad, but I'll just read the headline off of this one. The best argument for $2,000 checks for almost everyone is that almost everyone has had a terrible year. So money. So hey, you've had a bad day. You deserve money. You deserve money because you had a bad time.
Play
I'm
our
having
game.
a horrible day.
Yeah, I've had a horrible day too.
It's
Yeah,
almost
it's been
like
the worst day of my life.
It's almost like they're paying us for participating in their game.
No, it's not almost like, it's exactly what it's like.
That's what it is. Thanks for participating. Here's your money. We appreciate you playing the game. Oh, Anthony, by the way, y'all got to get that Gavin guy out of office, man. Y'all are close.
You don't think we've
No,
been trying?
Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah. We're close, but they could fake the numbers on that one too.
Yep.
Yeah. We're if you're relying on politics at this point, you're a fool.
Mm-hmm.
You're a fool.
Yeah, get away from politics. Go to religion. It's a lot more grounded there.
Go to religion. Go to what's real. What you can sweat out. That's it. Don't worry. Don't.
I say read books written by guys who thought very carefully about what they wrote. I'll just throw that out there. Even if you disagree with them, you agree with them, whatever. It's infinitely more valuable.
How old is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's like in her early 30s, isn't she, or something like that?
Oh, God. Yeah, she scares me. Oh my God, she is the devil.
I thought she was like she sounds to me like she's like 16.
Yeah.
She probably she has the brain of a high schooler for sure.
like with her her understanding of things, but
She's still smarter than half of the politicians in California, so I don't know. I know. I hate to criticize her, but jeez,
And just so you guys know, it is officially Saturday Night Live stream after dark. Somebody wants to join the panel? Sack up. I'm putting the link in the chat and jump in.
We're going after dark tonight.
We're going deep.
Oh, we're here.
Dark.
We're here, baby. This is what I've been waiting for.
Oh shit!
I've been missing after dark in the worst way.
We'll see how YouTube throws us around tonight. There's very few. We had a lot more people in the chat live here, so we have just a few tonight. So that's okay too, because this video will be. This was a great discussion, but let's continue on with Gonzo News.
Yeah, well, we've got one more here, and I think this story has something for everybody. Confused, jealous wife. Also, did I forget to mention this is kind of like a MGTOW story? Confused, jealous wife stabs husband after seeing her younger self in old photos. Okay.
Well, of course it's his fault.
A woman stabbed her husband several times after thinking she found photos of him with a younger woman. And it turns out that she herself was that other woman. The photo of the couple was taken years ago when they were dating. Police in Sonora, Mexico said, I read this headline to my wife and she's like, of course it's Mexico. Of course.
What does that tell you? That tells you that he hasn't aged a bit and she's aged tremendously.
Authorities from the municipality of Cajim reported that a suspect identified only as Leonora N. was arrested for wounding her husband Juan N. with a knife after finding several photos on his cell phone. The husband, who managed to take the knife from her, explained that the photos were of them back when they were more youthful and slim. Juan apparently convinced his wife that he had digitized the old snapshots to store on his cell phone. Fortunately for the man, the police arrived at the scene after neighbors heard screaming. Yeah, and now the woman has been detained and she's pending charges.
Jeez.
Well, guys, that is our segment this is new segment on Saturday night. I'm going to go ahead and play the theme song again, just for everybody. And we will screen share it. That was live from San Antonio, Texas. The Gonzo News. Woo! Good job, guys. Good job, Gonzo. I love it, man.
Yeah,
That's great.
Nice.
That's good. Good segment. That's what I want.
Nice.
Little bit of fun here for us guys here on Saturday Night Live. So we are now officially
Nice.
Saturday Night Live After Dark. We're going to ask anybody that's in here if you have any questions or any comments, bust them out in the comment section, and we'll just take it from here. So I'm going to go to Anthony. Anthony, you haven't been on. I think it's been a couple weeks since you've been on, or
Yeah.
but so how are things in California after the whole Biden experiment?
It really hasn't been any different. I don't watch any TV, so I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be any different. I still see the same people wearing masks in their car, and I don't know. It's kind of it's the same fucking thing. I don't know. It's just like I don't assume that people who don't think are going to start thinking.
Boy, that's a great one. Say that.
I don't know.
Time. Say that one more time. So you don't see people who think are thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see people that aren't thinking that are going to go ahead and start thinking again. Or they're not going to start thinking. I mean, you got people wearing. I've complained on this stream for months. I go, yeah, I know you guys think I'm fucking crazy, but you got people that wear a mask in their fucking car, and they just don't. I mean, I know people even at work that seem intelligent, and they believe everything that the news says. What can you do with that? I mean, really, what can you do with it? I just don't. These are intelligent people. Some of them.
Let's go down this rabbit hole. Somebody that's driving with a mask on, do they think that the air out? So do they have their like their air conditioning? Is it recirculating or not?
They don't understand the science of cars. They don't know that a car has a fucking filter. I mean, being inside your car is the fucking ultimate mask. But
is
they don't get that.
Is it a show of solidarity? Do you think that's what it is?
I think it's a show of fear. It's a show of I don't know what the fuck's going on. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I'm listening to CNN and it's telling me we're all gonna fucking die unless Joe Biden is elected president.
Wait. You mean we're not?
I really have missed Anthony's mask rants. I really have.
Yeah. It's just critical.
Yeah. In my fucking tears and my fucking rants. Yeah.
I know you got your mask
right now.
Where's your mask, Anthony? I know you got it on hand.
Jesus Christ! I've never worn a fucking mask. I have a bandana.
You got it on hand, literally. Your mask on hand. Show us your mask on hand, literally, Anthony.
I actually don't have. I have my fucking bandana. I usually have my bandana on my fucking neck because it's just on habit. I don't have it.
Man, let's put Anthony's mask on real quick. All of us.
My small mask. I do always have it.
Exactly. Okay.
I was trying to say it's on hand, literally.
Yeah.
All right. We need to make a picture that has Anthony's picture on it, and here's your mask.
This ought to be the thumbnail.
Yeah,
I'm on it. I'm fucking on it.
All right. Yeah, Gonzo's going to be drawing something. You're going to get a copy. I'll send it to you, Anthony. Yeah.
We'll have the merch line. The merch line for the show is going to be fucking amazing. I'm just letting everybody know.
New merch coming out, guys.
I'm gonna tell you guys something I'm really embarrassed about. You guys are all frozen. I can't see you. I can hear you live. I can't see you live.
What?
So I don't. But you guys are gonna say it because I have an Android. That's why you're gonna say it.
Well,
I don't know, and that might be true. I don't know, but I can't. I don't know.
You said it. We didn't say it.
I know, but I can't. I don't know. Can you guys see me moving around? Like my hands going like
oh,
this?
yeah, no, we can see you. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Fuck.
We can't see you at all. You could probably pick the nose and we wouldn't see it.
Can you see
guys
my
try.
shirt, Anthony? It says, "It's not you, it's me," but it's mostly you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably my Android. They probably just the damn phone company wants me to upgrade, right? Get the latest bullshit, right? But anyways, my Android's not that old, so damn it, you guys are gonna have to deal with me for a little while, just like this.
Oh, we'll take it. We'll take
Yeah,
it.
you guys are frozen. I'm not frozen.
Well, I wanted to do a deep dive and get an answer to Anthony's question. You know, why are people wearing these masks in their cars? And so I turned to the ultimate authority on this subject, Reddit. And we've got an amazing question. Somebody asked the brilliant question, you know, mask wearers in your car, why? And it seems the general consensus is they're just lazy. They just don't want to take it off. It's just, as the weather is starting to get colder, one user writes here, I'm finding the mask to be less uncomfortable and more of a face warmer.
Yeah, word. Totally agree.
I don't go out of my way to put it on when I'm alone, but I'm getting a lot slower in taking it off.
Really?
Yeah, and I want to ask this. I wonder if those same people feel naked without their mask.
Mm-hmm.
But why did they do it in July?
Well, and someone says they're an Uber driver, and I pick up dozens of strangers a day. Someone said to protect me from myself. Yeah, and then this other person here is just sort of saying what a lot of people are saying. If the distance between two places is short, I'd rather just keep it on.
Keep it on. Holy fuck!
I'd rather just keep it on. Seems to be the answer. But apparently in Brisbane, residents are now slamming COVID rules, forcing motorists to wear a face mask while driving, even if they're alone. So that's a thing in Australia, I guess.
Yeah, Australia's gone completely insane.
Yeah.
That place is an absolute mess. And the funny thing about Australia is I thought that would have been the last place that would have absolutely caved. But they were the first place.
Well, I think they were the first place to inherit like really heavy gun control laws, to my memory. And I know,
100%.
Yeah, well, I know a couple guys in Australia, and they tell stories like, oh yeah, I was just, I'm chilling in my house, and some dude just drives by and shoots into houses, like bullets flying into people's homes just randomly. Sunday afternoon.
I was just thinking, I would love to have Steve the Dean on right now.
Oh, yeah.
I sent him an invite. Who knows? It's a little late, but I believe Steve has date night with his wife on Saturday nights, so that's very respectable. Steve is awesome. So.
Yeah.
I wonder if YouTube's gonna spread this video around tonight.
No.
Well, that was a finite answer. Anthony says no.
Anthony, see you on YouTube.
That's the Coach Greg Adams answer. No.
Anthony's just afraid we're gonna.
I invited Coach Greg Adams. I invited a few people, but it's nice on a Saturday night that if a lot of these content creators get a chance to jump on, they will. I do look forward to having different guys on, and I'm lucky that I have that reach to these guys, and I do appreciate them. And I know they're busy and have things going on. Saturday night is a night to where I think that it's normally like a date night, I would say, Saturday night.
Yeah,
So,
if there was a life around here, yeah. Normal life, yes.
All those guys are always welcome and they're much appreciated. We've been really lucky on this stream to have some great guests, and we'll continue with that. I think that's great interaction, and I appreciate any of the guys that have come on, Manosphere guys and whoever, guys like Michael Bunker, who I absolutely love to death. And anybody watching this, man, Monday night has Michael Bunker on his channel. You have to watch that. That is going to be that's just going to be great. I'm excited about it. So
yeah, he's excited about it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a lot of relevant information, a lot of fun information too.
Yeah, good guy to talk to. So
yeah.
But guys, I think we'll wrap this up tonight. I think we're good, and it's officially after dark, but not too many after darks tonight. But that's okay. We'll get them next Saturday night. So anybody wants to stay on for the quick after party, you are completely welcome. And I'm going to give everybody my info. First of all, go to tacticalsoap.com, get your tactical soap, use coupon code KING. You get 10% off, get your soap, get your cologne sticks, get your pheromone infused beard oil, which is awesome. But go ahead and what it does also, anybody out there watching, you can go to the description in the link in the description of this video. There's Snug. If you want to donate to this channel, this mission, you can do that. Also, get your tactical soap. That helps with my mission on bringing men together, bringing women together, bringing everybody together, and having a rational discussion on all sorts of topics. You can find me on Instagram at T21Surfer, Twitter at T21Surfer, also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Lifestyle Philosophies with Tony Bruno. It's actually doing really well. I'm a little surprised, but I'm happy with it. So check that out on the podcast. You can listen while you're driving, but go ahead and check that out. Gonzo?
Yeah, you can find all my latest videos and other projects at Gonzo School on YouTube. And you can check out gonzoschool.com. That's all the hot takes and the just hot takes, life advice, that kind of thing, philosophy, whatever, is I'm kind of moved to make. And then midnight.author is my Instagram, so you can check that out for art and everything creative related. So
awesome, man.
Yeah, everybody's still watching. The main thing is that you tune in this Monday night to Primal Man YouTube channel. It's going to be a good time. Also, check out, if you can't find me, type in Monday Night Man Hour. You'll see my channel, Primal Man, pop up. I think I'm having problems right now with people finding the channel. So, tune in Monday night to the Primal Man YouTube channel. Scroll through the videos, have a listen. Me and Gonzo have several videos out there. Tony's in a few of them. And that's a wrap. Tune in.
Good stuff. Paul, how can people find you?
I don't have any platform for people to find me, but I do appreciate coming on here, talking, and having these interesting conversations. Slowly but surely, all these guys will be Catholic. All right, mark my words. Slowly but surely, but yeah, I had a good time. I think we all learned something, and I look forward to next weekend. So
I do too. And we know that nobody, I don't want to say wants to find Anthony, but people want to find Anthony, but he's not, you can't find him. So
he's not available.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I got some recommendations.
Okay, go for it.
I want you guys to tune in to George Bruno and subscribe to his YouTube,
my big
the
brother
Daybreak Show, because you can get some good information. And of course, I want you to subscribe to Tony Bruno because he's got always some good stuff, right? And I want you to subscribe to
oh gosh, I forget now. Coach Greg Adams, awesome, you know. And I want you to subscribe to the Lord Jesus Christ. Come on, that's good stuff right there. That's the bottom line right there, right?
I love it.
Just end on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just close it. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Yeah. Check out the Lord Jesus Christ, who died for you. Give him a look, you know. But no, I'm just. I don't really mean to joke about that. That's a serious thing. That is not a joke. On my book.
We love you, Anthony. We love your input. We really do.
Yeah.
You are a good, and I want to say a polarizing figure on the stream, and I love it. I really do.
Yeah.
My brother absolutely loves you, Anthony. Just so you know, loves you.
Good.
Loves you. Oh God, yeah. Number one. So,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream right now. You guys want to stay for an after party? We got 30 seconds. And good night, guys. I appreciate all of you.
Good night, y'all.
Everybody.
Good night.